I'm Brad Heller with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Giants pass rusher Kayvon Thibodeau has set a big personal goal entering his third season. He wants to break the sack record of 22.5 held by former Giant great Michael Strahan and current Steeler T.J. Watt. Thibodeau had a career-high 11.5 in 2023. He believes the game has evolved since Strahan played, and he's confident these changes will work in his favor. New Steelers linebacker Patrick Queen said he turned down more money for a chance to win right now with Pittsburgh. The former Raven said he had offers from teams for some $17 million a year, but opted to take less and signed for 3 years and $41 million because he believes he can win a championship there. And Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter says he's ready to be better than he was last season as a rookie. He's focused on conditioning this spring in the hopes of staying strong throughout 2024. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos. Fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
From groan-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your one-of-a-kind dad deserves a gift guaranteed to take him to his happy place. Show him the love with a gift as unforgettable as he is. Omaha Steaks. Order the deluxe Father's Day gift package at omahasteaks.com. 20 unforgettable entrees plus 4 free burgers for just $89.99 when you use promo code SIZZLE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Code SIZZLE at checkout.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Vols wrapped up the weekend, snagging an SEC championship, taking down LSU 4-3, and getting their second number one seed in program history, hosting a regional in Knoxville. The other teams in Knoxville Regional include Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and Southern Miss. They are paired with the Greenville Regional, where former Vols pitcher Chase Burns leads the Demon Deacons. Celtics wrapped up the Eastern Conference Finals last night, winning Game 4, completing the sweep of the Indiana Pacers 105-102. Derek White broke the tie with 45 seconds remaining to hit a huge three. The Mavs could break out their brooms tonight for Game 4 in Dallas. Center Derek Lively doubtful to play after suffering a neck injury in Game 3. Kyrie and Luka, first starting backcourt to each have at least 30 points in the same game 3 times in a postseason in the last 50 years. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Six a.m. on a Tuesday that feels a little bit like a Monday. Welcome to a short week. Hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast with a full crew back in studio with tons to discuss from the long holiday weekend. Of course, we've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. Today it is official. We are 100 days from the start of the 2024 National Football League season. We've got college baseball, college hoops, college football, NFL football, everything under the sun over the next 4 hours. Good morning, everyone. How are we?
We're good. Good morning. Morning, good people. Welcome back, everybody who went somewhere and came back or just hung around all weekend.
Chilled.
Just chill.
Kayla, how was the trip?
It was good. I was telling Ramon about the drive down and the drive back, and I always said the drive there seems to take a little longer just because you're
100%.
anticipating it, right? And so we skipped, though, hallelujah, traffic on both ends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So went down early right after the show on Thursday. Pretty much got down there without distractions. Yes, made a Buc-ee's trip, everybody.
Of course.
Had to do that. And then on the way back, we just got up, got packed, and headed out about 6:30. We were back by 1:30 and didn't hit any traffic. So I guess if you go down to the beach, just choose wisely in terms of your start and finish times of when you're leaving. If you're driving, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun, guys. It was really fun. Kayla still does not know how to put on sunblock correctly. It never fails, y'all. At least the first time of the year when I'm out in the sun.
Yeah.
I do wear sunscreen. I wear a lot of it.
Yeah.
But you guys, I don't ever get like around my armpits, around like the top part of my legs, and then you will see me like after I get done in the sun and I'm just the splotch. I'm just like splotchy all over. And so I have to grow into my splotches at this point. But at least I got a base.
Gotta even up, Kayla.
I gotta even up, man. It's pretty pathetic. It's pretty pathetic.
Oh, man. How was the beach, though? Oh, was it overly crowded for Memorial Day weekend, or was it pretty solid?
Yeah, surprisingly, I had never been down to Orange Beach, Gulf area for that time of the year. Usually we go in June or July, but it was not bad. I mean, it was busy on the beach like what you would expect, but I don't feel like people were in my way, right? Okay. We stayed kind of in one of those VRBOs that was kind of good in terms of how many people they kind of allow on the beach area. It's a little more private, but I thought it was pretty good overall. And if anybody's ever down there, please visit Zeke's restaurant. It's on the marina side. Y'all, like they brought in the fish.
Yeah.
I posted some pictures. It was crazy. Like they're bringing in this 128-pound yellowfin tuna while we were eating, and then
saw a picture on Twitter.
Yeah, you can go over and they'll show that it's really cool.
Before too?
Yeah.
Really cool. So, good trip. How about y'all? Was it good a weekend? I heard it stormed.
Oh, I don't know. I sleep through every storm.
Really?
It did.
Well, I love Will.
You,
Will's like, I sleep through every storm.
Lord bless you.
That is the beauty of being on one of the bottom floors of a large building.
Yeah.
Is there you can't hear anything on your roof or anything, so you're just kind of vibing.
We were on storm watch. When was it? Saturday? Saturday night. And of course, I always watch it because having kids in the house, being in the house is like, of course, they mentioned tornado. It's like, oh my God, I can handle fast winds. Like the winds that come through, that's fine. I can handle that. And I think before it hit Middle Tennessee, Sumner County, even Williamson County, it had broken up just a little bit. So we just got like those fast winds on Saturday. It was one thunder that woke me up, but other than that, not so much.
Not too bad. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad for us. I know it was bad in other places around here. But with that being said, this weekend, what weekend?
I knew the vibe when y'all got in here, though.
Yeah, well,
so
I knew the vibe.
If the Zone TV cameras had been on before the show started, you would have seen that Ramon Foster and I showed up in the same Tennessee baseball jersey today. And luckily, I knew this was a possibility, so I brought a backup polo that was sitting in my backpack.
That's incredible.
Because we would not be matching today if I had not. Or we would have been matching if I had not today.
I'd have just called you twin all day. I don't know. What up, twin?
Dude, that is a pro move on Will's part, though. Like, that is a real pro move.
I thought you were going to do something else.
I texted Ramon yesterday. So I had a nice chill Memorial Day. My girlfriend and I went to this place that I will give a free shout out. The Blue Moon Riverfront Grill or Waterfront Grill is over in the Nations.
Love it.
You feel like you have teleported an hour outside of Nashville. It's like a little grill and drinks place, like right on the Cumberland River.
Okay.
Like boats are going in and out and everything. And I, again, introduced Peyton to bushwhackers, which I'm told is a Southern thing, I think.
Bushwhackers?
It is.
Okay. I did not know that was not a national thing. I'm sad to learn. I need to make a Sarah McLachlan commercial of like, in the arms of an angel, all the people who live without bushwhackers, because bushwhackers are amazing.
You know they take them over in Vegas, though, and claim that they're a thing over there.
Oh, do they?
But
okay,
yes, they are. They're more of a Southern thing.
Because that's the thing to get at Cool Beans in Knoxville. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked.
Okay, yeah. Keep up,
and I texted Ramon, and I said, I am wearing the throwback baseball jersey tomorrow. I don't know how you could have gotten this confused.
I was grilling out yesterday. I had a few things going on at one time yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna wear a jersey or something too." And lo and behold, we had the same thing.
My exact words were, "I am 100% wearing my UT baseball throwback jersey tomorrow." And Ramon said, "And guess what I'm wearing tomorrow?" And I just sent back eye emojis and thought, all right, I'll just have a backup in case he just gets this confused.
You claimed it first. My bad. I almost feel like I need your shirt.
I already got a text from said girlfriend who is always tuned into the show this morning saying, "You let Ramon win?"
I wanted them both to wear it, all right?
We're teammates here, Peyton. There's no winner or loser.
It's fine.
You know
and
that.
I was like, well, I'll just wear it Friday for the regional game. Nope, I'm off Friday. I have a track broadcast.
Couple. You have to wear it
Thursday. I will start the weekend.
There was that reminded me the minute Will walked in. There was a couple and another couple down at the beach, and the wives must have won a bet because they made the two guys wear matching swim trunks and top things. Yeah. And so that reminded me of that.
That can sometimes be a fantasy football punishment as well.
Sure.
Having to wear something embarrassing to the beach.
That could be it.
My weekend though was all go and wait. That's all it was this week. Go and wait. We had baseball with both the boys this weekend. One of Miles' tournament got canceled Sunday. Okay, because the storm came through and we were playing through a storm also this weekend too. Don't mind.
Where was that here?
We were RJ's was at Shelby Park, Rose Park, and we were supposed to be at another school out west because of the rain, and that didn't happen. So we get there, the schedule changed like 12 different times. I thought we were past like rainouts because May hits, I guess. I was just like, all right, it's baseball time now. No, we got rained out every single time. Miles had a game start up Friday night at 7:45 at night. Yes. at night.
Ugh.
And then the game ended up getting we're supposed to have one Saturday. That one got rescheduled. That one was supposed to be at 8:45 at night. And we were looking around like, what do you mean rescheduled at 8:45 p.m.? Okay, so they ended up canceling that one probably because parents had to say something. Parents said something about it. RJ game got cut short on Saturday. Sunday comes around, we were playing games, okay, and then Miles' tournament got canceled altogether. So again, we were all around Nashville just like waiting to see situations. But what I will say, RJ played Saturday. Which days? They blended. They're all blended
I was going to say it all
right
blends
now.
at this point.
RJ played Saturday. And
Not
it
Monday,
got
right?
partially ran out. No Mondays. Yeah, but we will be getting to that point though too. But I ended up in East Nashville and ended up going to a couple of restaurants that was around. There was like a Cajun spot over there. I've never been over there to that area like that. Area. It was a couple places across from the pharmacy, which is over on that side of town. So we were all around. Just go and wait is what my weekend was comprised of yesterday.
Patience.
Oh my gosh. And from there ended up RJ had one to play yesterday. No, two to play yesterday morning. You're right, I did play.
You did
Monday.
play Monday. I was gonna say, I bet you played Monday.
I did play on Monday. So it's two schedules now, y'all. Like it's divide and conquer.
You'll need a big spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
Color coded.
We've just started utilizing the family calendar on the iPhone.
Oh yeah.
I did not. So we color coded each tournament, each weekend. It is
I don't know how you do that.
It's
My
a
goodness,
lot.
that's wild.
2 games yesterday morning at Rose Park. Had to be there at like 7:20, and then we had another game at 9:45. Yeah.
Do you have a permanent cooler in the back of your vehicle?
In the vehicle?
Yeah, just that it has stuff in it at all times.
Well, we do have a permanent thing of is tent.
Yes.
Tent. That sun is baking out here,
Smart.
okay?
615-737-1045 is our number. A normal Tuesday lineup for us with Austin Price at 8:20 of VolQuest and On 3. He is in town for On 3's Elite event here in Nashville. I know 3HL involved with that this week as well. So we'll get the latest from him on, of course, Tennessee's SEC Tournament Baseball Championship win, in addition to a massive recruiting weekend for Josh Heupel in football. And Ron Slay at 9:20 this morning. I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss with him, as always, between Tennessee baseball and Chaz Lanier, making his commitment to the Tennessee Volunteers on the basketball side over the weekend as well. 615-737-1045. Tennessee wins the SEC baseball tournament, but that was not the best thing that even happened to them over the weekend. We'll dive into that next. What's up? It's Will Bowling. You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. Tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save energy, money, time, and space. At Lead Company, they have got a great offer for you. A limited time offer of $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. And to make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. You got to take advantage of this offer today. Call my friends at Lead Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leadcompany.com/promotion. $750 off a tankless water heater from Lead Company. These folks have been trusted for 80 years here in Middle Tennessee since 1944. Give them a call, 615-567-1000. That's Lead Company. All you need. Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Rose. You can join us on the phone line, 615-737-1045. Hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And I hope you enjoyed some baseball. Odds are if you were a Tennessee fan, you enjoyed a lot of baseball. 4-3 Sunday, Tennessee over LSU. The Vols take down Vanderbilt and Mississippi State on the way there. Another SEC title goes back to Knoxville. The undisputed SEC champions.
Yeah.
Big weekend for Tennessee athletics again.
It was. It is. I think impressive is probably the best word for it, Kayla. I'll be honest, I didn't know they was going to go on a run like this in this tournament. I thought it was let's get in, let's get out. But then when you see, of course, how they're navigating through this SEC tournament, it was with a bunch of guys that needed more experience. They were called on and they delivered. And then, of course, the bats, they have to stay consistent in general.
Yeah.
Bats and defense is what you need more than anything, and that's in a tournament like that. And you want to try to save pitching. And they did save pitching by going young. And I was excited to kind of see them plow through that and navigate. And it wasn't easy. Mississippi State was challenging. You had Vanderbilt was very challenging. I'll get to that in a second. And, of course, the LSU. The LSU game, it didn't have to be that challenging, but it was. I wasn't sure what was going on with Kavaris Sears in right field. He could not locate it. I'm not sure if the sun was in his eyes.
It was, yeah.
It was in his, and the ball dropped. Luckily, the ball stayed in the park. But 2 plays down at the end of the game, just like, bro, let's just close this thing out and get out of town with it. You got to tip the cap to Tony Vitello for trusting his guys, and at some point, I'm guessing a decision was made. Screw it, let's go win it. Let's go try to win it, and they did. Man, I was hype about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole thing when we talked earlier last week about everybody has their own kind of way they navigate at this point of the season. And as much as you saw some of these top seeds, lose their first game early on, some of them bounced early on in Georgia and Texas A&M. Tennessee was not one of those teams. Tennessee was, the top seed, and after a fumble early on, they fixed that. And it wasn't that they totally changed directions of what they were doing. Like you said, Tony Vitello stuck with the plan of using some of his young talent, getting creative with the pitching, and it ended up working. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing to take out of things like the postseason and tournament play. Everyone is going to do it different, but the results are now that Tennessee walks away, like you said, undisputed SEC tournament champs.
Yeah.
And I think it's really an amazing feat, because that is really difficult to do when you not only have the kind of monkey on your back situation, but you're also kind of doing it in a different way. Yeah. If you look at the way that he did it, that's what makes Tony Vitello such a great head coach. And right now, one of the best in the country. I think we can all agree to that, just on a basis in the last 4 seasons, what they've been able to do in terms of regular season play. And I know not having a championship yet, but being able to win the tournament, being able to be champions in the regular season, hosting, regionals and super regionals. Now the next step is obviously, again, get to Omaha, again, get to the final. So I think it's a really special thing to win this and win it the way that they did. And again, you just keep that momentum going. That's another thing. It's not stopping.
Yeah, it's not. And a guy for me, I think the Vandy game was Xander Sechrist was in, and of course the young fella Marcus Phillips came in. And again, that was a tense situation to walk into, but to see him, and they said, of course, this weekend he grew up, and he did. You saw it all over his face. The way Tony V managed him, the way he managed his emotions. Like, as someone that has a kid who pitches baseball, those aren't easy situations. Going those big moments like that and have to deliver. And he did. Again, hitting 100 miles per hour over the weekend on the plate, on the bump. I mean, that was big. And the trust factor. Most coaches don't know what they have. That's the reason that a lot of them go to those portals, get guys that have been proven, get guys that are mature enough, they think, but nothing gets you more ready for anything in sports other than throw them into the fire And that's what he did this entire weekend with his guys, especially on the mound, the ones that are on the mound this weekend.
And not all conference tournament championships are created equally, because you could throw your top arms, and if you're in a position like Mississippi State was, they're trying to host a regional. If you're in a position like Vanderbilt and Florida, and you're just trying to get into the NCAA tournament when the SEC tournament begins, you're going into that thing treating it like it's a weekend series from the start. And you don't have the same, it doesn't really matter what the result is, as the top 4 teams, because each of the top 4 teams had very little to gain out of this. What I like about Tennessee and the way they won it is it wasn't their main objective to win it, but they still did. And they put in the Pigeon Forge freshman Dylan Loy, who's a really cool story, a guy who has grown up a Tennessee fan his whole life. And I like the story that former Knoxville sports anchor Chris Budden told on the broadcast, and said, he wanted to play it cool when he got offered. And playing it cool meant he waited 4 days before he committed after he got offered. Speaking from someone who, when he was offered, committed on the spot, in myself, I know how that goes. I know how that goes. But I thought the way the pitchers stepped up was noteworthy. We talked about that last Wednesday with the Vanderbilt game, that 6 of the 8 pitchers that Tennessee threw in that game had 5 or less SEC innings all season, including A.J. Russell. You got to see A.J. Russell again yesterday, or not yesterday, it feels like it was yesterday, Sunday, make the start against LSU. But Dylan Loy, Xander Sechrest, and Marcus Phillips were the highlights of this for me. Xander Sechrest, who started the game against Vanderbilt, Tennessee's Sunday starter, before last week, had only thrown 6 innings in a start once in his career. He's now done it twice in consecutive outings, against South Carolina and against Vanderbilt. He's really been more of an opener for Nate Snead on Sundays all season. This time he really was a legitimate Sunday starter. And then Dylan Loy, the Pigeon Forge guy, struck out 5 in a career-long 4 2/3 against LSU. He only allowed 2 hits and 2 walks. He was excellent. Marcus Phillips getting the save against Vanderbilt. Tennessee can throw their 2nd and 3rd tier pitchers and still beat some of the best teams in the country. And boy, they are in a really good spot heading into the NCAA tournament.
No doubt about it. And the thing again, I said earlier, the bats and the defense has to be there. Like, if you're going to play baseball, those 2 things have to be activated. It's a matter of how you manage those arms, and they did that by allowing the young crop to get a lot of that playing time. Let's go to the Saturday game real quick, okay?
Tennessee Vanderbilt.
Tennessee Vandy. My timeline was scorching, okay? My text thread was scorching. The conversation around me at the baseball parks while we were there this weekend for my kids' game was scorching, okay? The vibe. I was in the car. Listen to it. It was scorching, okay? And let me say this. Whatever this rivalry wasn't, it is now, okay? Whatever it wasn't, it is now, is how I feel about Tennessee Vandy baseball. Rivalries are birthed because of the back and forth, because one was better than the other one gets good. And then they both get good. And then you duel it out. And then you meet in situations like this on Wednesday and Saturday, and you say to yourself, all right, you got us on one, okay? Let's see what you do if it's real. And the hate that I saw on my timeline, the love that I saw on my timeline, the pettiness that I also included myself in, because I was looking for one person tweets on Saturday, and that was Will Bolin, okay? I was looking for him. It was him, Ron Slay, and just everybody else that's on my algorithm, okay? And what made me say to everybody involved in Tennessee Vandy baseball, the state in general, and I think Tony V's tweet comment that I had, I posted out there, it's like this, what did he say? This state evolves around baseball, or Tennessee evolves.
He said, I love being in a place where the whole state revolves around the college team and revolves around the Tennessee Vols.
I thought that was a little backhanded. If for all the respect that him and Coach Corbin have, they still have their moments. And there was one moment in that Tennessee Vandy game when Seymour hit that home run, and you saw the camera pan to Coach Corbin.
Corbin was not happy with that.
I don't know what he called.
it wasn't good.
He's just a competitive guy in general, too, that he's, once you get in between the lines, Coach Corbin is as classy and nice of a guy as there is, but he is also as fierce of a competitor as there is.
He's super competitive.
And I love that about him, too, because
him and Tony have that in common.
Haven't had conversation with him before. Super calm dude, super chill. I love him as a person, as a coach, too. He's done a lot for baseball. He is one of those gold standard coaches in it. But, of course, people always talk about how he's very straight-laced and that button up. When that home run went through, he had some devil and Jesus in him, okay? Because he was livid. That's when you knew. That's when I knew this is a rivalry. The lip readers on social media said it was a 4-letter word that he said.
Might have been.
Followed up by like Lord, okay?
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah. When he hit that home run and Coach Corbin was really just in it and ticked off, I was like, okay, this is real now. So whatever the rivalry wasn't, it currently is. And if you can win, whether you win in Knoxville, whether you win in Nashville or Hoover, you celebrate no matter what, is what I tell any fan base of these two teams moving forward. It is that. I know Will got a lot of hate on his timeline from folks. I know I saw stuff on my timeline. It's just like, God, this is ripe. I love it.
Well,
I absolutely love it.
That's the thing. I don't think it should be like a surprise at this point that this is a rivalry, because rivalries are meant to go back and forth. They're meant to be spicy like this, where maybe one team is gaining momentum at a period of time. That's what makes a rivalry. It's not really fun when a rivalry is one-sided for a really long time. And then you fiend for it once the other team finally gets back into the ring and actually has a chance to win the fight. That's when the other fan base then gets riled up. I think that's the best part of what we've been talking about lately with this rivalry. And what I love about it as an outsider for the most part, and yes, I do cover Vanderbilt baseball, but as an outsider in terms of a fan, I look at it as these teams have dominated the SEC tournament in the past 3 years. I mean, these two teams, and you talk about Tony V and kind of the side comment he made, but I look at it also as really Tennessee baseball overall as a state is in really good hands.
It is.
And I love that. You've got two different coaches in their coaching eras, but really good at what they do, fighting for recruits, fighting to be the top program in the state. And it's juicy. And I love every single bit of it. And now both are in the postseason. Congrats to Vandy on their 18th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. That's huge. And Tennessee, the number 1 overall seed. So I love it. Like, keep the rivalry going, because it's that's what makes baseball so fun.
It's so strong, and I love the hate that the Vols get too. And I say this because we're winning and can compete. If you'd taken me back to 2014 to Arrow at 2018, I wouldn't be having the same type of conversation.
When I went to school there,
or even with
2015 and 19.
Like, look. Legitimately, like, I saw some bad times and just all Vol sports to where nobody was really holding up their end on it. Like, I'm talking about the Lady Vols weren't, the football wasn't, basketball was teetering just on being good, but nobody was holding their own. And now you got 3, 4, 5 sports right now that is holding their own. I see Savage and the F&M Bank chat talking about I like it one-sided.
Yeah, that's right.
As far as the Vanderbilt, Tennessee thing goes.
It feels like a lot of Vandy fans forgot that their baseball program can have a season independent of Tennessee. This is not like football, that if you go 1-11 and beat Tennessee, you're successful. So if you were dumb enough to tweet at me on a Wednesday night of an SEC tournament, when you cheer for a team that's won national championships, you need to go back studying for your exams at Austin P and Lipscomb and go to your Vol State research papers. And that's no disrespect to people to go to those institutions. You can cheer for whatever team you want wherever you go. But if you were tweeting at me, there is a 0% chance you went to Vanderbilt. Absolutely none. All right? Because at this point, you got to remember where you are, right? Go turn on your little podcast microphones. Go do your little podcast for your 50 little people that also go to, maybe you have like the Vanderbilt Club at Lipscomb. I don't know what it is, but maybe just talk to them about how much you hate Tennessee. Keep your tiny little narratives about Tennessee baseball over there we're going to keep winning championships over here. We're going to host radio shows and not podcasts. There's a little bit of a difference there. So again, there are a lot of great Vanderbilt fans. Vanderbilt is a great program. I understand why many people in this city cheer for them, even if they didn't go there. There's no disrespect from me. I know a ton of Tennessee fans who did not go to the University of Tennessee. You got to do what's best for you. I get it. I am just pointing out that the Venn diagram is a circle of the people who were the chestiest, the loudest, because those people don't know baseball. Those people did not understand that there was going to be a get back and that Tennessee actually had starting pitchers who were going to go in the get back game. And now all of you are nowhere to be found on social media. And I'm just sipping my coffee this morning and reading your old tweets at me, many of which are not safe for air, but I absolutely love it.
It was fun to watch it this weekend because, again, and you saw it on the players' face. You saw it on both sides. You saw it on the coaches' faces and their reactions. But what I will say, Tennessee draws a lot of hate. I can get that because, again, going to the championship game on Sunday, that LSU lefty that hit that home run, he pimped the hell out of it.
As you should at 471 feet.
Yeah, that was a bomb.
And
I was like, I would have crab walked around the bases is what I tweeted. I would have literally crab walked around the bases.
That's not easy either.
He pimped the hell out of that. And all I could think is, boy, I don't know if he want to wake up the bear. And from that point, the bear he was shook from waking up. It was. And again, Tony V acknowledged, I think, in the Mississippi State game when the players were calling his name when they did a mound visit.
That was funny.
Yeah.
He said, he know what it is, okay? I'm sure he laughs behind. He's like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. Maybe I draw this type of stuff. And again,
narrator, he does.
Narrator, he does.
He knows it too.
When you look at it, when you're looking at a style of coffee that you want to drink, all right, and we're talking about Tennessee Vandy right now, just the SEC tournament. Whether you like something like exotic, like Coach Vitello, or you want, hey, just give me something simple and black, like Coach Corbin. Both are good. Okay, but it's a matter of when you're trying to decide on who you hate and who you love. All right, a lot of people love Coach Corbin's style, and a lot of people love Coach Vitello's too. I just like to acknowledge now, like I said, and seeing a reaction of all things this weekend and how it unfolded, pick a side is where I'm at on this one moving forward. Just because it's okay to hate the Vols. It's okay to hate Vandy. And it's okay to just watch two really good baseball programs now play baseball against one another. And I loved every bit of it. Again, LSU was that close to spoiling it. But the way he pimped that home run, what was it, first inning, second inning? And this
I think it was the first inning.
It was the third batter of the game on A.J. Russell, who looked great other than that one pitch.
Woo! He rocked. Kayla, to that point, I wonder what was that pitch that Simo hit?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've ever seen Coach Corbin that ticked off.
We thought the same. We were watching at the house at the beach, and yeah, we thought the same exact thing.
He was ticked off.
I think I was mid calling I know I was mid soccer game watching it and just trying to stay focused on Nashville SC. Trying to monitor everything going on. 615-737-1045. You can react to that here with us on the phone lines this morning. And coming up next, the most embarrassing sports injury of the year and maybe decade happened over the weekend. What is the most embarrassing sports injury or non-sports injury you've ever suffered? We'll get to that coming up next. Well, everyone has weird injuries, freak things that happen. I don't know, though, if yours is as bad as what one baseball player did over the weekend. It's Ramon, Kalen, Will, RKW, brewed up by 8th and Rose, 615-737-1045. Did you guys see this from Los Angeles Angels third baseman Miguel Sano over the weekend? Rehabbing an injury and left a heat pad on his knee too long without padding and burned himself. Will be out an additional few weeks and months.
Not smart.
No, not smart.
Has a burn on his left knee.
And it had to be pretty intense.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen this. This has happened like 1 or 2 times in my playing career to guys that I play with. And it came mostly from like DBs with like tight backs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You get those heating pads out of that boiling water basically, and you leave it on your back. I've seen dude with blisters and stuff like that from that. Yes, 100% this happens. This 100% happens right here. On baseball, that's gotta suck though.
Yeah.
It does.
That is a bizarre injury. And again, prolonging you from playing with something that could have been prevented. But then again, and I know, Will, you're going to probably get to this in a minute, but we've all done things probably at some point of our life.
Let's hear it.
That are stupid.
Most embarrassing injury.
Most embarrassing injury for myself was, this is when I was younger though, and I was young and dumb is what I'm going to contribute
okay.
this to.
It's all right.
It's part of it.
Put my hand on a burning on an eye on the stovetop range, just for no particular reason at all. I just used to touch them all the time, and my auntie told me to stop, and I touched it one day and it was still hot. It was an electric stove. Football wise, man, I wouldn't. My awareness was low. I pulled around one time in a game, and I still actually feel this injury to this day. And pull around in the game, this linebacker caught me in the hole and just caved my chest in. Do you hear me? Like, I ended up having, like, I don't want to say cartilage get knocked loose, but I got popped. It might have been Mosley. I'm going to be real with you, from Baltimore. He caught me slipping one time coming in the corner, and my chest felt like it was going to cave in. Yeah, that was by far one of the worst hits I've ever had in my entire life.
It's at least not embarrassing. You're getting hit by an all-pro linebacker.
I know, but my awareness has to be high.
For you, that was embarrassing because you're like, I'm not living up to my
It was hard to breathe and everything. Yeah, that was tough right there. I'm going to be honest with you. That sucked. That sucked right there. I ain't ever left a heating pad on anywhere on my body, though, to get stuff.
I'm surprised I haven't done something like that, or like those hot mitts that you use, and sometimes, they break open, and that's not always a good thing, because I used a lot of those in my career shooting sports. But the stupidest thing I've done, and look, I've had some bizarre injuries. I could go on for probably a whole show explaining all of them. But the stupidest thing is when I was a junior in college at Washington State. And I'm super competitive. Even if I'm not playing a sport, I'm competitive as a fan. So we were playing Stanford in basketball. And this is before we got, the young Tony Bennett. Right? We had his dad at the time. So they started to become competitive. And Stanford was always really elite at that point of, our career in the Pac-12. And so it came down to like a buzzer beater, and Stanford hit the buzzer beater. And I was like devastated because they hadn't won against Stanford in a really long time. So my good friend Kyle, who was a javelin thrower at Washington State, we were all leaving the building, Beasley Coliseum. And he said, just take your anger out. Just give me a punch, Kaylee. Just give me a punch. And he gets me all riled up. And when I get riled up, I'm crazy. And so I go to punch him, and I was so riled up that I tucked my thumb underneath my knuckles instead of punching with my thumb above. And I hit him so hard, and I could hear the pop of my wrist. But I have extremely, extremely high pain tolerance. So I heard the pop, and I get home to the sorority, and I'm telling some of the girls, I'm like, yeah, that didn't look good. Didn't sound good either, but I'm going to roll with it. So I never did anything. And that summer, I waitressed on it. I did hot yoga, intense hot yoga on it, because I was living in LA at the time, doing an internship. And I got done that summer going in my senior year. And it was so bad, I could barely hold my wrist up. And I finally went to the doctor, and they looked at the x-rays, and they said, this is the worst break we've ever seen. There's no bone now. You have literally grinded your bone down. There's no circulation. So I had to immediately go into surgery, and I have a screw in my
in
my wrist.
Yeah.
And that whole senior year, pretty much the majority of it, guess who had a big old cast on up to her elbow?
You did.
Her senior year. This dummy. This dummy right here. Because I wanted to be stupid and act like I knew how to punch.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Mine, my dumbest one is probably my right ring finger. I had won a block. This is in a preseason game.
This does not count.
He's got so many of
don't
these.
count. Those aren't embarrassing. You're a professional athlete.
I won the block already. And this dude was trying to run to the block, trying to run to the play. And what happened was I was holding on to him so hard. And he pulled away from me as I was pulling back from him. And my tendon got stretched on this thumb. This finger doesn't sit down still to this day.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So
if you've ever shaken Ramon Foster's hand, you know this to be true.
That and my other thumb's got a plate and 4 pins in it too. So
you just have like a weird right hand?
Right there. That finger doesn't sit down right there.
Well, I've told mine before of the story when I got a concussion because I jumped up and down on a refrigerator box saying I'm Larry the Cucumber, and I fell backwards and couldn't catch myself, and I concussed myself. That was pretty much it. I also fractured. I've never broken a bone before.
You're lucky.
Yeah, it couldn't be my bones. And I fractured my finger, though, because it was after I believe it was Brentwood Academy, Giles County basketball. A young Tyler Smith had just played for Giles County against Brandon Wright and BA at, I believe, Allen Arena at Lipscomb. And we were leaving the game, and my mom had one of those automatic van doors where you, like, pull the handle and it just open on its own. But sometimes they just get stuck, in the middle. So she was on the other side. I was on the passenger side, and I put my finger through it to show that it was still open, and then it closed on my finger. It didn't break it. It just I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, a little bit of like a fracture, I guess, but it wasn't a total break. So I just had a splint on one of my fingers.
Fingers and doors always make that crazy.
The door here took out my finger for about 6 months. You guys saw it.
Oh, man. I hate fingers and door stories.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up in hour number 2, we've got a Titans topic for you as we talk about a three-way position battle on the offensive line. But coming up next, Tennessee won the SEC baseball tournament. What is their path? What is Vanderbilt's path in the NCAA tournament? We'll dive into that coming up.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hey, if you ever had a contractor come to your house, and guess what? They take forever, don't they? You don't know when they're going to show up because the times vary. We'll be there between 12 and 8. What? That's all day long. I'm not sitting around the house all day. You don't have to worry about that with Hiller because they will give you a time approximately when they will show up, give you a call before they show up, and we'll be on time. So you're not camped out all day. You can handle your task around your house. This month also, you can be a happy camper with Hiller, where they have 0 interest financing for 24 months on select HVAC systems, generators, and tankless water heaters. Or you can just simply take advantage of Hiller's $99 drain cleaning special. So take care of your home systems before the peak summer temperatures hit. We got a little bit of grace this week. We'll be in some 70s and stuff like that, so it won't be overly hot. But I promise you, the heat is on the way. So visit happyhiller.com today for details.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Vols wrapped up the weekend, snagging an SEC championship, taking down LSU 4-3, getting their second number one seed in program history, getting to host a regional in Knoxville. The other teams in the Knoxville regional include Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and Southern Miss. They are paired with the Greenville regional, where former Vols pitcher Chase Burns leads the Demon Deacons. Celtics wrapped up the Eastern Conference Finals last night, winning Game 4, completing the sweep of the Indiana Pacers 105-102. Derek White broke the tie with 45 seconds remaining with a huge three, and the Mavs could break the brooms out tonight with a Game 4 win in Dallas. Center Derek Lively, doubtful to play after suffering a neck injury in Game 3. Kyrie and Luka are the first starting backcourt to each have at least 30 points in the same game 3 times in a postseason in the last 50 years. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Break into it once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in Nashville. Hour number 2 begins on a gorgeous Tuesday morning in Middle Tennessee. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, brewed up by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045 is how you join. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, myself, Will Bowling. Coming up in 15 minutes, a Titans discussion on a position battle including 3 players. Is right guard the most hotly contested battle in the offseason? We'll talk about that, as well as a report over the weekend that suggests there may be a new starter at that position. We'll get to that coming up in just a few minutes. Tennessee wins the SEC baseball tournament over the weekend, 4-3 over LSU. They will host the Knoxville Regional beginning Friday. They will play at 6 o'clock Central Time against Northern Kentucky, the Norse, in their first ever college baseball tournament. I should have played the name that nickname game there before I said it.
I would have never guessed.
However, did you all notice that there may be an inter-show rivalry brewing next weekend? Because look who is on the other side of the bracket in the Greenville Regional. The Pirates of Eastern Carolina University. Robert Walsh, good morning.
What's going on?
Are you proud?
No, I'm not proud. They should have been a higher seed. They should have been like 11 or 12.
You want to tell
I'm
us?
getting him fired up.
You want to tell everybody what you text us Friday night after the walk-off?
Oh, my gosh. So
Y'all had an electric win.
if you weren't watching, ECU stole home. It's been such a long weekend. I don't even remember who the hell they were playing. Who the hell were they playing? Was that Rice?
No, Clemson, wasn't it? Was it Rice or Clemson?
Clemson is not in the American Athletic Conference.
It's been a long weekend, okay? Who
love it.
was it? ECU versus?
Come on, man.
Jeez.
We're both better than this.
Give him
We're all
some
better than
respect,
this.
Ramon.
So that was the
Clemson.
second semifinal against Wichita State.
Correct.
There it is.
Wichita
It
State.
forced a second game in the semifinals to get to the championship.
And it was electric. Bottom of the ninth, they steal home to win it. So they forced the second game, a chance for them to win the AAC championship. And I told you guys, look, I know this team. They're going to fight back really hard, and then they'll lose 13-2 tonight. And they lost 12-2.
You should have bet on that.
I should have. Really excited, except for unfortunately, I think Wake Forest is the better team. In that, I think you're going to end up getting the Chase Burns rematch that everybody would like to see head to head. I don't know if the Pirates are deep enough. Their number 1 and number 2 pitchers are just now getting back from injury. If they can get hot, maybe they can make it there, but they did not get a very good draw as far as teams that are going to be in their regional.
That is what I read as well, that if ECU was healthy, then maybe you're looking closer to a top 8 seed versus just barely a top 16 as the number 16 overall. Because you guys have been ranked in the top 5 to 7 like all season.
They just fell so hard at the end of the year. Tulane came to town and swept them in their only AAC sweep of the season, and then they lost 2 to Rice. They had to beat Rice 4 times in like 7 days with the AAC tournament. So they didn't get a great luck of the draw. They didn't get a great draw with injuries. But no one cares. Win or go home and shut up, because no one wants to hear you cry about it. So no excuses. They had a good season. I think they went something like 45-15. Would love to be able to go to Knoxville to see them, but my fingers are crossed. It's so much that it's hurting.
So East Carolina, Evansville, Friday at noon is game 1 of the Greenville Regional. Then you also have, again, Chase Burns, the pride of Beach High School in Hendersonville. Talked a lot of beach baseball on this show the past week.
You really have.
He will be possibly here if Wake Forest can get out of that region. Wake Forest has not had the season that they wanted to have.
Who would have thought losing the best pitcher in college baseball would affect you so hard?
Could you imagine if Tennessee had Chase Burns at this point?
Crazy, man.
They'd be 2022 Tennessee good.
They had a little reunion, too, with Christian Little that didn't go well for Mr. Little.
Sure didn't.
LSU pitcher, Christian Little, for those unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll say this before we even get to that game. If Tennessee lines up with Wake Forest and Blake. If, what's his name? Chase Burns is pitching. Chase Burns has added longevity to his 100 miles per hour pitches, his 97s, 98s. That's the one thing that he needed. I thought he was a little bit more of a power thrower.
He was a two-pitch guy.
Two-pitch guy. Now he's got a bigger arsenal now, and I'm going to say it right now, and I have no shame about it. If he's pitching, the Vols probably don't do well that game.
I don't know. I think if anyone's got the scouting report on Chase Burns, it's Tennessee.
But he's a whole lot better pitcher than he was leaving.
I know.
And his stuff is so much better.
I think he struck out 15 in a game in the ACC tournament over the weekend.
And I think for the Vols, too, it's just like let's just focus on the regional right now, getting out of it. The trend for the SEC tournament in terms of winners of the tournament in the past few years have not gone great. As much as I've said I've loved for the state of Tennessee to represent with Vandy and Tennessee winning those tournaments, they don't actually get out of the regional if you look at the trends the past 3 years. So it's like for them, I'm sure it's let's take what we have in this regional. And look, they are technically an easier, if you look at them and you're rating them, they do have an easy draw. I think it's one of the best draws for a number 1 seed with their bracket. But that doesn't always mean everything. So it's like for Vitello, I'm sure it's in the back of his head, like, let's just get out of this regional first.
100%. And I'll say this too, since we're on Middle Tennessee stuff, major shout out to Ainsworth alum, Middle Tennessee resident, Devin Obie. ACC the tournament player of the tournament. Tournament MVP. He won it, man. He had I think a grand slam, had a walk-off. He had a big-time tournament this past weekend, man. So shout out to him as a young fella is making his way, got healthy, playing for Duke. He plays for Duke. Duke won the ACC
Duke won
tournament.
The tournament. You're right.
So big time, as we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of great stuff going on in Middle Tennessee for baseball. It is.
Been a couple of good Middle Tennessee players that have gone to Duke.
It has been. And
Bryce Jarvis is with the Diamondbacks now.
Easy. Insane, man. So shout out to him. I know he's been battling through some stuff and he finally got all the way right. And
big time.
ACC player of the tournament, tournament MVP.
Vanderbilt gets Coastal Carolina on Friday. The Clemson Regional is likely the hardest one.
Stacked.
It is a very, very loaded regional. There are storylines everywhere. I know I tweeted this out yesterday that tournament committees just love like the spicy angles of Texas A&M hosting Texas, of Georgia hosting Georgia Tech, and then the Bakich-Corbin rivalry. Not rivalry. Those guys are like as close of friends as possible. Current Clemson coach Eric Bakich, who worked as an assistant at Vanderbilt under Tim Corbin from 2003 to 2009. He was at Michigan when Vanderbilt and Michigan met in the 2019 College World Series that saw Vanderbilt win their second national championship. Coach Corbin being at Clemson, going back to the place where his career really took off after he was at Presbyterian, the head coach of the Blue Hose. Like, there are a ton of storylines in the Clemson Regional.
Yeah, and Coach Corbin got his chance under Coach Leggett back in the day at Clemson, which is, by the way, one of the greatest baseball minds. I had the privilege of speaking to him when I covered Arizona baseball because he had a connection with Coach Lopez there at the time. brilliant mind. So you see where he was able to really learn under a coach. That's what you love about baseball too. You feel like there's always a trickle down effect in some way. If you talk to coaches, they'll say, this is who I learned from, or this is who I kind of gained that confidence to take it to the next level. So you're right, Will. That storyline is always fascinating just because it goes so far back. And then he obviously knows Coach, I never know how to pronounce his name, Bakich.
Bakich.
Yes. So that'll be fascinating. And then clearly I keep on in the back of my mind, you guys remembering, I can't remember the caller, but from Southern Miss. Who called us.
Greg in Mississippi. He's not even a Southern Miss fan.
That's right.
He just hates the He's an Ole Miss fan.
So he just calls in talking about Ole Miss, or Southern Miss, but from Ole Miss. But that brought me to, that connection too with the rival, or not the rivalry, but kind of the
back and
re-upping
forth.
the back and forth in the tournament.
That's right. Southern Miss in the Knoxville Regional, number 2 seed with Indiana. Again, the storylines. They put together Indiana and Tennessee, considering how big of a Tennessee baseball fan Buck Rising is. With Northern Kentucky as well.
By the way, the Clemson Regional, Nebraska's a 2 seed?
No.
Oh, I thought you said in 2 seed. I see it in the right here. I guess it's on the other side of Cleveland.
Paired with the Oklahoma State
regional.
and Stillwater. Oklahoma Nebraska's State. 2, Florida is 3. They barely made it. Mm-hmm. And Niagara, the 4 seed in the Stillwater region.
I just never imagined Nebraska and baseball ever being in the same sentence.
If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come.
It's hard to realize, though, because it is so tough up there early on in the season.
Nebraska's just dying to be what Tennessee is right now. And they got a lot of money, I think, behind them, too. And I say that out of respect because they're in the same boat with us as far as where we were. As far as Nebraska,
they're not even close to being where you guys are in terms of football. Like, they're still trying to be what they used to be. I don't know if they'll ever be able to be that.
Raiola got a lot on his shoulders now. Dylan Raiola. Yeah, they stole him from Georgia, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, the young quarterback going into Nebraska for the folks that don't know.
615-737-1045. A report over the weekend suggests there may soon be a new starter on a position of the Titans offensive line that has 3 players vying for 1 spot. Talk a little bit of right guard with an interior offensive lineman that's in the room coming up next.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but starting this weekend at Genesis Diamonds, you can get 0 interest on any purchase. That's right, 5 years, 0 interest financing with nothing down. That's the best part about it, is the nothing down. Walk in with nothing, come out with something, okay? With beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud earrings, and more, starting at only $50 a month with 0.0 financing for 5 years. Again, I'm telling y'all, this is insane. So imagine that $6,000 designer ring is only $100 a month. With Genesis, they will even finance the sales tax. And right now, the interest rate relief is just another way that Genesis is always looking out for their customers. From pre-owned Rolex watches are included, hint, hint, Keisha, as well as all other Genesis name brand designers. So you can get that ring of her dreams at a monthly payment you never dreamed possible. It is a great time to celebrate that anniversary with the new center diamond or spectacular diamond tennis bracelet or eternity band. So get the crazy low Genesis value price and then spread your payments over 5 whole years without a dime in interest. And it all starts this Saturday at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs on approved credit. Get more details at genesisdiamonds.com.
Tuesday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is how you join us. So our friend Justin Mello over the weekend writes for Broadway Sports Media for the Draft Network. Says, don't be surprised based on what he's hearing at Titans OTAs if the Titans have a new starting right guard in 2024. Anytime there is discussion about interior offensive linemen, this is your best source. The guy sitting in the room right now under Ramon Foster. Dylan Radin, Sadiq Charles, Daniel Brunskill. The three competitors for one spot. Do we feel like this is the position that has the most amount of competition in the Titans offseason?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think so. The right tackle spot is almost an outlier. Like, that position will be taken care of. But what you need is the security of those top three guys up the middle. And right now, what you also have is the best, in my opinion, the best competition at almost any position at right guard, too. Like, you look at a right tackle, all right, it's one versus the other, whether it's Leroy Watson, whether it's NPF, whenever he has the abilities to get out there is what you kind of say to yourself on how I view this competition. But to have three dudes in Daniel Brunskill, Sadiq Charles, and also Dylan Radins, three different backgrounds. You got a Homer and Radins. You got a new guy in Sadiq Charles, and you also have a guy in Brunskill who was brought here last year on a contract who has a contract right now. I'll never count out Brunskill because I think he's tough as heck. I saw him play and just push through some stuff. He somewhat had the Ben Jones effect last year. So I know he's a fighter. I know he understands as far as being a veteran. He got the most veteran experience out of almost any of those guys, right? On knowing how to navigate being on the field. The issue that he has is the injuries. Does he come into training camp this fall? Not right now because, again, as far as offensive linemen go, you are judged on how physical you can be and what you look like in pads. Remember last year we had the conversation about Big Jeff just tossing Brunskill to the ground.
Forklifted him the first day of training camp.
Forklifting. Y'all remember the wildfire story behind that one? It's like, I even had people in practice at other stations and stuff asking me, is this supposed to happen? It's like, be cool. This is OTAs. It had no pads on. Big Jeff probably had a different tempo, and he did. We never heard anything about Brunskill getting forklifted like that again. And that's what I always somewhat tell people. Football for offensive linemen is played in pads. And Brunskill, I thought last year, other than Aaron Brewer, I will say this, other than Aaron Brewer, probably showed to be the most durable guy for as much as he could stand, and tough too. I know a lot of people like that tough word. Production is something that has to be a whole lot better. And that's with all three of those guys. So my breakdown on this one is this. As far as Radin's concerned, I do think he's probably going to be the front runner. And I'm talking about on his heels right now, probably a Sadiq Charles. Because, again, our guy to run Davenport is saying Sadiq is somewhat running with the ones. But
I told you that, too. I was there firsthand, yeah.
You saw them be there, and it's a 1-2 tandem, I think, because and you got to also look at the amount of money being paid out. Brunskill's in a position where he's a little bit more expensive than the other guys. And it's a big year for Radins. So Radins and Sadiq Charles, to me, I think is going to have a real big competition to be either the starter and then the backup swing guy to play on each side. The thing about the right guard position is this to me, is Sadiq Charles played left guard for the most part last year for the Washington Commanders. The issue is him playing with the Washington Commanders. They have the second most sacks given up in the last 4 years of almost any team, only to be followed up behind the New York Giants. In the last 4 years since he's been in the league, they've given up 206 sacks over the last since 2020. Last year, for the Washington Commanders, I don't know if I've ever seen this number in my life. The Washington Commanders and Sam Howell as their quarterback gave up 65 sacks. And I know a lot of people are going to judge Sadiq Charles off of that, too, because he was on that line. I think he ended up starting 10 games for them, which is good for a guy who's pretty much a reserve guy. I guess the write-up on the guy, the summary of a guy like Sadiq Charles is this. He's a guy that when you see him, he's a physical presence. He looks strong as ever. He's got a great foundation and base. When I watch this tape, and I was telling you guys, I was watching it when we were on break and just had it somewhat playing the All-22 of Washington versus the Giants last year. His issue is this. You can tell with 65 sacks being given up, one, you don't have a quarterback that teams respect. When we have backups in games, you're going to get the house sent at you. That's how it is for backup quarterbacks. And Sam Howell was a starter for the most part last year, but he's not the guy. Nobody's respect his arm. Nobody respect his playmaking ability. So you have you somewhat attract a lot of pressures for teams like this. His issue is it looks like they weren't taught well in Washington.
Well, that was my whole point.
They were not taught well.
Oh, doesn't that
Think
sound
they were taught well here?
Doesn't that but that's the thing. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Yes. So for a guy like Sadiq Charles that they ended up bringing in, and of course you know that Lloyd Cushenberry knows him too. So there's that factor too. I say this, you got a guy that's strong. You got a guy that can move well. He pulls. He blocks well. You just got to have technique, and you got to have the ability to know what you're doing mentally and physically. That's all I've ever seen good coaches do. They teach you technique and they challenge you mentally to know what you're doing. So it was a couple of times in the games you see Sadiq Charles overexerting himself to go clean somebody up when honestly he should just stay in his presence. I mean, stay in his gap. And what happens right there? There's a defensive lineman looping around and then there's a sack. They were a bad OL last year and have been for the last 4 or 5 years in Washington. Mm-hmm. I like his talent and skill set a lot. He's a road grader type. He's a guy that knows how to play physical. You just got to put a governor on him. My thing with Radens on why I think he will probably be the front runner for this job, his to lose is one, he is a Titan. He was drafted here. Although under the John Robinson regime, he was drafted here. The issue that Radens has had to me is where do you play him? He's gone to right tackle, lost that to NPF. He's played left tackle in a game. We saw him do fair there. He's played left guard. And now he can finally settle into a position. I look at his spot and say, if he plays well, and I think this is year 4 for him, which means it's also a contract year, and also Sadiq Charles is why I say you can plan for the future with these two guys. Bronskill, I think, is pretty much on the expiring contract. Yeah. So when you look at these two talented young dudes, you say to yourself is this, make them two battle it out. And whoever loses is your swing guy on game days. And with that, though, I'll say this. You build up talent. You build up a quality of talent at that interior position to where it's more sustainable. I like this matchup between the three of them, with the two front runners being Dylan Radens and being Sadiq Charles.
Yeah. I say this is the position on the line right now with the best competition in terms of who can win that starting job, because this is a different subject for a different day, but I am a little concerned about right tackle at this very moment in terms of just the amount of competition and being able to kind of prove that you're that guy. And again, the tackle position is always kind of looked at as, okay, we need this really shored up. And I just don't feel like they've got the depth there right now because there's so much unproven. With MPF and, you know, the next guy, I think you have Njoku, right? John Njoku, which is Boise State, a guy that's, you know, obviously not played at an extremely high level, but has some potential. But with the guard position, I'd agree with you. I think that this is really, at least for the training camp aspect of it, I think there's good competition there. Brunskill is the veteran. He is a tough guy. Look, I remember talking to him in the locker room last year where he was just battling. He was battling just to try to help that team in any way, knowing that there was so much, or not as much depth at that entire position or just on the line in general last year. He was just trying to stay in games to give him a chance, and he was struggling. So I think you could be a depth guy at this point of your career, and you maybe not have to be putting your body on the line all the time, but if someone goes out, you're able to come in there and do a pretty good job. But I think it is between Dylan Radens and Sadiq Charles, 100%. It is interesting that Dylan Radens is actually the younger guy going to, I would have assumed, he was the older guy between Sadiq and but Dylan Radens 26, Sadiq Charles 24, but has spent some miserable years in Washington, and I think this is a good restart for him, and he has every opportunity to battle for the job. You mentioned kind of things you take out of him that are the positives, and again, you put him in a position where you have one of the best line coaches in the NFL, if not the best. I think he's definitely going to have a chance to compete. Has the, like you said, the strength. He has everything it takes to get to that spot. But Dylan Radens, he's never been able to really be in one spot. And that's, I think, another plus, that if you put him at right guard and you continue to work him at right guard in this offseason, in training camp, you're probably going to see the most out of him too. Because coming off that ACL, I think he had a mind reset in terms of building his confidence. Now it's building his confidence at one position, letting him actually do that with a coach like Callahan. And so I think this could be a really intriguing battle, and one of the better battles on the line specifically. Because again, I'm worried about right tackle. The more and more I think about it, the more that I see MPF is not out there yet, there is some worries for me at that position.
Why are we so quick to replace Brunskill?
The age for me.
Mine is his salary. It's just that simple. What is he supposed to make, like $3 this year? And then, of course, do you bring him back? You say his age. I think he's over 30 right now also.
Just what he went
barely
through last year in terms of just the injuries.
And the other side of it for me is this. You have the ability, and I've been in this spot where it's at right guard also before I moved over to the left. It was myself, Doug Legursky, and Trey Essex were all fighting for a right guard position in camp. I came out of camp thinking I should have won it. I didn't. They ended up starting the other guy, Doug Legursky. And what's funny is 2 weeks in, it's like second year for me, my second year in the league, and I'm livid, like, for not winning the spot, okay? I made the team still. And I distinctly remember the coach said, just because you didn't win the spot doesn't mean that you won't play this year. I think it was the second game I started, and then by week 4, I was the starter for the rest of the year. And what you want is just this, though. Well, why? What you want is this. Most coaches will elect to go younger and cheaper. And the reason I'm putting Brunskill out is Kayla mentions the age, but also you mentioned the salary of a guy like this too. But if you can get the best out of your youth with the technique that has been taught by Coach Bill Callahan, and also just the detail that they're also going to be walking out on the field with, I prefer that over the guy that's about to be 30. This is more sustainable for me by having, whether it be Dylan Radis, and he changed the way people view him as a player, or if it's a guy like Sadiq Charles who's coming from a situation where Bill Callahan has also handpicked this guy to be one of his dudes moving forward, and the fact that he's also best friends with Lloyd Cushenberry. That doesn't play a huge factor in it, but I know it somewhat does have, the interest of him, the chemistry of it. Again, to your point about Radins being at one spot and being able to battle for it, I think his strength has gotten a whole lot better. His pre-snap penalties have to be a ton
double-digit penalties last season.
Is that easy to fix, Ramon?
It's a matter of just settling in and just being a pro. Like, knowing that you're confident in the scheme, the plays, and your technique. Like, you get antsy sometimes and you hear stuff, you're overthinking yourself. And that may be a product of him moving from right to left to tackle the guard and stuff like that. I'm confident in Radins. Remember, I've said this about a month or so ago. I think he's the right guard for this team if he can finally settle into it. He's good in the run, has to get better in his side-to-side movement is where Radins is to me. His redirection is something where it's like, okay, I don't know if his base is too wide or his hands get overextended. But what I believe is this. If Coach Bill Callahan is the one that's teaching them and everybody has the exact same technique or at least the baseline of what their play is supposed to be, you build a confidence in knowing that, hey, snap the ball and let's go. That's where he is and needs to be as a player, especially if you can make this trio of guard, center, guard. Imagine those three right there being shored up for the next, I'll give it 5 years. If you can get 5 years, 4 even, before you have to draft another guy. If you can get 4 years out of Peter, out of Lloyd, and out of Radins or Charles, you got something to where I don't even worry about the tackle. The tackle has time, the right tackle. The right tackle has time to grow so much because you have the ability of saying, I know my right guard can help out my right tackle survive. And again, Coach Brian Callahan told us this too, as it comes down to protection. It ain't just an individual tackle. It's not an individual guard. It's the tight ends. It's the way he called plays and the way they help guys out in a situation without compromising the offense. I feel like this fan base should feel a whole lot better when it comes down to the ability to operate methodically on game day.
So last year, Daniel Brunskill was essentially league average. Of the Titans' 6 offensive linemen that played more than 300 pass blocking snaps, Daniel Brunskill allowed the fewest amount of pressures. Only 26. He's only 30. I don't understand why we're so quick to replace him. Oh, so why is Radins a guard, Ramon? You the second he was drafted, live on Titans radio 4 years ago, you said, I see him as a guard. Even though everyone else out there was saying, no, he's tackle at North Dakota State. And you were the one that said, he is a guard to me.
And he battled for tackle that first year.
He did battle for. By the way, the reason we're so quick on Brunskill is Brunskill's 30. Sadiq Charles is 24 and Dylan Raiders is 26.
But you still have Brunskill, and he's not making really a whole lot of money.
But we can reset the DNA of this team if we go youthful, too.
Yeah.
So it's that point of it for me.
Right, but you got a guy in Sadiq Charles that allowed 37 pressures last season in 455 pass block snaps. I'm not to say that is his identity.
Yeah.
If Bill Callahan and what he has said on the record about him, he has said about Sadiq Charles, some of the things I identified on film were positive, could play into our scheme, and could add into what we are doing here. It was a little bit of a no-brainer to acquire him. That is what Bill Callahan has said on the record about Sadiq Charles. I would understand having this kind of conversation about right tackle, considering the returners you have at that position. But Brunskill was the Titans' best offensive lineman last season, as far as pass blocking goes.
And that's not saying a whole lot, though.
No, it's not.
To that point. So the reason I'm more in on these two young fellas because I love their run game. I love their ability to move in space. I think they're better athletes than Daniel Brunskill, and that ain't me minimizing him. If you look at the tape of Dylan Radins and Sadiq Charles, better athletes, better road graders as far as the run game goes. Pass protection is one of those things that you grow with.
That's the answer I was looking for.
Yes, you have to grow with.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, no.
I want the detail
the
of
right.
Why are we trying to replace one of the only members of the offensive line that was at league average last season?
Well, and aren't you trying to start to build, like you said, it's not all homegrown. They're trying to work to make it a line that's going to be together for a few years and to continue to build on that chemistry and being able to give one of these younger guys an opportunity. I think that's important from the start.
Yeah, and it is. And to go back to why Dylan Radins is a better guard than he is tackle too, athletically, he's decent enough to play tackle. That's the problem. He's decent enough to play tackle. Anybody can play that position, but how well will you excel in it? Whenever you got a guy that's running the 4'7", 260 pounds off the edge, I don't think he can cover enough ground at tackle to play NFL tackle caliber ball as far as Dylan Radins is concerned. You move him inside, he's a better athlete with what he's going to see. If you look at his body from his rookie year to right now, he's bulked up. You can see that in his face, in his neck, and in his arms and legs. He's a bigger, better prospect than he was his first and second year in the league. And the same thing goes for Sadiq Charles, too. I think they're built body-wise to play interior than they are at tackle in the NFL. It's just a different athlete. You either need to be big and rangy or long and athletic to play tackle in this league to me. That's the same thing that you're getting out of a guy like J.C. Latham. Look at his footwork. I think his footwork is way better than either one of those guys at tackle. It really does boil down to, do you have an athletic guy? Do you have an athletic enough guy to play tackle in the NFL? And the answer to me, to Dylan Radins, is no, he's not an NFL tackle. He moves like a guard. He's a guy that needs to be put in the phone booth with really good athletic ability to move in space. Both of those guys move well in space. And if we're comparing Sadiq Charles and Dylan Radins, they're better athletes for what I think this offense is going to ask for when it comes down to those three guys battling out for the right guard position.
615-737-1045 is our number. And coming up, headlines from the weekend where an evil person in sports is finally retiring. That's coming up next. Wrapping up the first half of the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed by 8th and Roast. And honestly, we should have come back to Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
Yeah.
Here at the end of hour number 2. I don't know if you saw this last night, but 62-year-old Major League Baseball umpire Angel Hernandez is retiring, effective immediately. Thank God. At last, our long national nightmare is over. The 3-decade-long career and the dark cloud that has hung over Major League Baseball is finally over.
My timeline blew up when it came to Angel. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because people were so excited about this announcement that some thought came a little bit out of the blue. I don't know if that's the case. We've had now in the past 3 years 2 major refs, umpires, call it quits, that were definitely villains, because you have Jerome Boger in the NFL a couple years ago, right? Yeah. So this might be a celebration, like that in the NFL for those who are MLB fans. But yeah, long career. And I kind of feel like it's interesting. He said he wanted to spend more time with family. I think at some point, in a way, maybe the leagues start to say, hey, by the way, retirement might be a good thing at this point. You're not getting any younger. It's not like these are beloved guys. But again, a long career, so you have to give him, that he's been able to prolong it like that, but definitely a villain when it comes to
easily
the
I just tweeted at Ramon, Kayla, Will, choose your fighter, Jerome Boger or Angel Hernandez.
I love it.
Jeez, I'll probably take
Please
Jerome
vote.
At this point. Because Angel's that's one thing about umpires is they can really throw off the flow of the game. Like, I think Tony V mentioned that this past weekend, right? Where they thought a strike was a strike and it wasn't a strike.
Mississippi State, it would have ended the inning for Drew Beam at 3-0, and then Mississippi State ended up taking the lead in that same inning.
So there's those things right there. And I'm sure Angel Hernandez, the MLB ump who just retired, I'm sure probably he's got family. That's what he said, right? And family hears this type of stuff when you're him. I'm sure on social media, right? And I'm sure it's like, Pops, we got to do something about you or about your game. But if I was Angel Hernandez, I'd say screw y'all too, okay? For a guy like him that's been in it for over 30 years, they say from an article I read right now that the top tier MLB umps, which he is, because he's been there for so long, make between $350,000, $450,000 a year.
Not bad.
Sign me up.
Not bad.
Well, home plate umpire, though, you're going to need a lot of health coverage as well, because you're getting hit in some painful places with foul balls pretty consistently.
You're right.
Yeah.
I just want to know who reproduced with Angel Hernandez. Like, how does this guy have offspring?
There's love for everybody. Well, there is love for everybody in the most obscure places.
He's probably so opposite as a family man than he is as an ump. I bet you that's where he puts his villain mask on and goes and actually relishes that.
Like fair to him, Hernandez. To be fair to him, because they gotta work their way up from youth all the way up. I'm sure the parents have ruined him, okay? Youth baseball parents have ruined him to where he's like, screw y'all, I'm going to call what I want and feel sometimes.
So he had already talked about some of the discrimination aspects of being an MLB ump. He had gone after Major League Baseball for not getting a league championship series since 2016. The last time Angel Hernandez worked a World Series game was 2005. I was 8.
It's been that long for him?
2005.
I didn't realize that.
As I said, if you guys want to highlight me, I'll highlight myself.
He said, starting with my first Major League game in 1991, I have had the very good experience of living out my childhood dream of umpiring in the major leagues. Who grows up wanting to be an umpire, respectfully?
Well, he's from Cuba, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's from Cuba.
He's from Cuba, which is baseball.
It's baseball.
Like, we need more refs in sports, right? Like, we have a shortage, and I'm not criticizing anyone who wants to impact the game in a meaningful way, but I feel like those dreams don't often start when you're a kid.
Oddly enough, I was reading up on this pathway to it. It was like a lot of guys, his family stuff that they've done before. I think there's a lot of father-son tandems and refereeing and umpiring also. So it's something that I've seen guys that stop playing, and next thing you know, they want to be around the game. And that's how you do it. I'm not sure somebody that hasn't played is like, okay, I want to be an ump. But if you tell me, even in the farm leagues, I think they're getting about $120 to $200 grand.
For umpiring?
For umpiring, yes.
That would surprise me.
Yeah.
You may be right, but that would surprise me.
Yeah, no, they got a lot going on for them in there because they got to work their way up. You got to get in the system too. They basically have a show to get to it too.
Some of the umps that I had with me in the Southern League in 2018, the summer I did with the Tennessee Smokies, are some of the worst umps in Major League Baseball now.
And my stats,
Jose Navas, namely.
Jose Navas,
that's terrible.
It made my stats may be wrong on that, but yeah, rookie MLB get 100 to 200 grand a year. That's not bad.
I mean, and he's 62 years old. If you think about that, I mean, at some point, my goodness, like you said, Will, behind the plate getting beat up. I mean, you really do as an ump. I mean, that's a pretty long career to be 62 years old and still battling back there. But.
So the article I'm reading right now from RefSports.com says some of the highest MLB umps include Joe West, who reportedly earned
he just retired too.
400 grand. Angel Hernandez, whose salary is estimated to be the same range. So
I've got your range for minor league umpires.
Okay.
How far am I off?
Take a guess.
50 to 60,000.
I'm gonna say 40.
Less.
30?
So
my goodness.
As of October 2023, full season leagues, this is per month, 2,000 to 3,000 per month.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
2,000. What's that about?
But you're only paid for
30
when you're in season. You're not paid for December.
Yeah. Okay. For sure. Yeah, that's low right there. Work your way up.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure their knowledge of the game has to be super high.
Oh, yeah.
Too. Yeah.
615-737-1045 is our number. We'll recap the weekend headlines for you. Greg Sankey speaking in Destin at the SEC meetings. In Tennessee, wins the SEC baseball tournament. Tony Vitello talks about what was most meaningful out of that experience. We'll tell you what he had to say coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Artists and Custom Closets, and right now summer is here, which means the kids are out of school and they'll be running around. Outdoor activities, lawn care, pool parties, you name it. The summer is for the outdoors. But during these months, your garage and outdoor storage space become the landing place for all things you don't want inside of your home. Dirty shoes, cleats, outdoor toys, tools, and more. You need to transform your garage and outdoor space into a space of calm and organization with Artists and Custom Closet. You got to say goodbye to the clutter and hello to custom storage solutions that are made to suit you, your style, and your budget. They don't care if it's any space in your home, from your walk-in closets to pantries, garages, or laundry rooms. Get Artists and Custom Closets over to bring some calm and get organized. You can call them at 615-800-2199 or visit them at artistsandcustomclosets.com.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Vols wrapped up the weekend snagging an SEC championship, taking down LSU 4-3, and getting their second number one seed in program history, getting to host that regional in Knoxville. The other teams in the Knoxville regional include Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and Southern Miss. They are paired with the Greenville regional, where former Vols pitcher Chase Burns leads the Demon Deacons. Celtics wrapped up the Eastern Conference final, winning Game 4, completing the sweep of the Indiana Pacers 105-102. Derek White broke the tie with 45 seconds remaining, hitting a big three. The Mavs could also break their brooms out tonight with a Game 4 win in Dallas. Center Derek Lively doubtful to play after suffering a neck injury in Game 3. Kyrie and Luka, the first starting backcourt to have at least 30 points in the same game 3 times in a postseason in the last 50 years. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show starts right now on a gorgeous Tuesday morning in beautiful Music City, USA. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. In 20 minutes, VolQuest's Austin Price will join us. Not only was there a massive recruiting weekend for Josh Heupel at Tennessee football over the weekend, in addition to the Chaz Lanier commitment, the Tennessee baseball SEC tournament victory, the On3 Elite Series is here in Nashville. 3HL will be there live today at the W Hotel in Nashville. Some of the best high school football prospects in the country are here in Nashville today and this week. Austin Price is also there. We'll talk with him about that coming up in 15 minutes. I do need to apologize, though, to Ramon Foster this morning. I have forgotten something that you asked me to do on the Ramon, Kayla, and Will Twitter account.
What was that?
Today.
Will?
You wanted to ask a poll question.
What?
Over the weekend.
Question.
New poll question. Who is more annoying, cicadas or the Vandy whistle?
Oh, that's right.
So I'm going to put that up right now. I'm going to do my part. When Ramon asks, I'm supposed to listen.
Yeah, that was mine. Again, my stance.
I don't get it. I think it's like if you just get used to it, you don't even hear it.
No.
I have watched Vanderbilt baseball games for most of my life.
But is it because you guys are Vols fans?
No.
I'm going to throw that out there. I'm going to admit it. Yeah, it is. For me.
You know, like you let yourself go there?
Yeah,
I hated this guy before Tennessee was battling on the same level as Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Like when I was covering baseball in college, before that even, like this guy is my least favorite person in all of college sports. I would take Angel Hernandez. I'd take Angel Hernandez to lunch before I took the Vanderbilt Whistler to lunch.
That is a strong statement.
Same with Jerome Boger. I'd have a lunch with Jerome Boger and Angel Hernandez before I sat down and broke bread with the Vanderbilt Whistler.
For me,
I was gonna say we could make it happen. Will, I mean, he's right here in town.
Pass.
I mean, I'll make it happen. I got connections over there.
I'm
make
good.
that one happen right there. My thing is this. It's the broadcast of it. You know, you ever met somebody that want to Mr. Me Too? Like, it's like, man, I just bought a brand new car. Oh, me too. Oh, man, I just had a phenomenal burger this week. What? Me too. It's like, that's what it sounds like on the broadcast. And I've been in the car and watching on TV some too. And on the radio, it blares.
The radio is probably where it picks it up the most.
It picks it up, and I think it's because they have the crowd mic and everything, too. It picks up big time right there. I don't dislike the guy at all. I just love the fact that we can compare one to the other as far as cicada noise and, like, Whistler noise. Like, that's my thing. It's like,
so you're specifically saying more annoying is just the noise? Because I'd say cicadas in general, everything about them are annoying.
I hate the cicada noise, okay? You can't even have a conversation outside. Like, and I'm good on blocking stuff out.
Yeah.
My issue is, and I don't know if it's just me in general or what, I hear background noise a lot. I do.
Do you hear side conversations? I do hear side conversations.
I do, and I'm trying to pay attention to the game, and then I hear cicadas, and then during the broadcast, I'm trying to listen to the commentators, and I hear, dit, dit, dit. I'm like, oh my God.
So Jesse on YouTube says he cut me in line at a bourbon festival once.
No. See, I don't even know what he looks like.
I've met him. I've done stories on the Whistlers. They're, when I did the stories, obviously, kind. They were not mean people at all.
Yeah.
But, to each is your own.
At least cicadas only come out once a decade.
Yeah, no. Hopefully on the back end of those things, too, by the way, because that outside noise, it rained, I think, Sunday, and then it got sunny, and then the next thing you know, they were just loud.
They're louder than ever and more annoying than
that was
ever.
That was my comparison. I'm like, all right, I'm trying to enjoy something, but I keep hearing this noise.
There it is.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Yes, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, we can do the rest of the show like this.
It's like the ocean.
Well, that's what it sounds like being outside on your back porch is this. You can even turn it up, Bert. They get...
Okay, now
this is what I heard. You see what I'm saying? And then during the game, I'm hearing the whistling thing, and I'm just like, okay, like nobody asked you to be a part of the show. Ooh. I understand it's a tradition. It is. He has become a tradition. My thing is what happens after him. Are they grooming little mini whistlers out here?
I mean, I'm sure if it's a tradition, which it is.
So, like, going to Mississippi State, you have the cowbells. Like, the cowbells live forever, right? But, like, where are the mini whistlers after the big whistler goes?
That might be an investigative piece that you should look into.
Don't encourage them, Ramon.
I'm just saying. If we call something a tradition, like, we have to carry it on. That's my thing about it, which is why I asked the question. Which one is more annoying? Because you're interjecting yourself into this competition now.
Cicadas don't drive themselves around in a van that says the cicada on the outside of it and then claim that they're not making it about them. At Ramon Kayla Will, where you can vote on that poll, 83% of you say the Vandy Whistler is more annoying so far.
So I thought it was fun to compare one to the other.
Let me vote to help that.
Go ahead, Kayla. I'm here for it, but like I said,
he is so beyond obnoxious.
I honestly have like the first year, it might have stuck in my brain, but covering those games, I'm there like right beneath him, and I don't hear it anymore.
Oh. I can understand that. I try to do the same thing with cicadas. But, of course, Kayla, you got to understand this. When I sent Will that text, I was in the middle of just hate mode,
sure,
okay?
And that's rightfully so. And you know what?
And that's
He's
all I'm saying.
part of the rivalry, too.
But
part
again, my thing with being a part of it and it being the standard is, okay, it has to carry on. There needs to be either golden whistles passed out at their stadium, or he's got to have, to a point, like I said a second ago, some mini whistlers out there that's being set up right now.
Might be doing that.
But it was, again, my thing is, I said this in the 6 o'clock, we discussed this. Vandy fans, Vols fans, this is a rivalry. This is a thing now. Tennessee baseball versus Vanderbilt baseball is a thing. Yes, when they even go to a Memorial Gym now for basketball, that is a thing too. Because all I've heard this offseason, boy, Vandy's they've hit this portal. We gonna be good. Yeah. Keep saying that. Keep doing that.
Kind of have to when your whole team leaves.
Okay, and I love the fact that these two coaches, between Tony V and Coach Corbin, act like it's not a thing. It is a thing. Again, if you saw the replay of the lip readers when Coach Corbin saw that home run go out from Christian Moore, it was some not safe for work words that came out. Okay,
NSFW.
And Tony gets the same way when you see the expression on his face. Like those are two really competitive coaches.
Call it
You're
a rivalry.
Absolutely right.
Call it a rivalry. Y'all trash talk each other. And because when it all boils down, I told Will had a bunch of Vandy fans coming at him. I was like, please come at me about this. I love this type of stuff.
Provoking
yes, I love rivalries, man. That's what it's all about.
They are fun.
Tony Vitello after the game saying, we had no questions about our depth, but what version are you going to get out of each guy? Says, blessed to have Frank Anderson a part of our staff with pitching. His initial answer after Tennessee won the SEC tournament, former Pigeon Forge Tiger Dylan Loy goes 4 2/3, striking out 5, a career-long outing for the freshman who grew up a Tennessee fan in East Tennessee. Pigeon Forge High School, by the way, a beautiful place to watch a high school sporting event.
Really?
Right in the mountains.
I heard
Nice.
that.
Right there, right before you get to Gatlinburg. It is
Heard
gorgeous.
football games are beautiful on Friday.
I can show you the picture I took from the press box when I broadcasted Alcoa Pigeon Forge there. It is gorgeous with the mountains right behind you.
backdrop.
There and Gatlinburg Pittman.
Yeah.
The Highlanders of Gatlinburg Pittman.
I know App State's baseball field, too, is one of the most gorgeous backdrops, too, in college baseball.
Using those mountains, baby.
But that's where Dylan Loy was from. And Andrew Binke with a big inning against Mississippi State. Marcus Phillips, freshman, hitting 100 in Tennessee's win over Vanderbilt, pitching the final 3 innings. They got the job done with a lot of freshman pitchers who had not pitched high-leverage innings. There's your buzzword, Bert, all season. Andy. Called you by your government name there for a minute. Andy in Clarksville on the phone lines. What's up, Andy?
What's up, Andy?
Well, first of all, before I get to Angel Hernandez, I was going to say about cicadas. If you have a sister station up here in Clarksville and that cicada noise is too much, we don't have them up here.
Do you?
We're like some little enclave that God just blessed and said, you know what, they've
Must
been
be
through
nice.
too much and just no cicadas.
How's bragging
But,
camp going?
But with Angel Hernandez, that might be just a belated birthday present for Kayla.
Yes. Yes, Andy. You struck gold with that statement.
I love that, man. Absolutely.
I like it. Thank you, Andy.
Angel Hernandez.
Andy knows
is
baseball.
done. Yeah, he does.
He knows what he's talking about.
I just got familiar with Angel Hernandez this year. But again, if you go down the
Should
compilation.
he write a bio?
He should.
Like a biography?
I mean, at $450K a year, he ain't really got to do much now. He really ain't got to do much at all, man. But
Gator
yes.
Mike tweets in, says, Will's hell would be the Vandy Whistler whistling Rocky Top.
Oh, my.
Well,
I never thought about
He'd
that.
be cheering for the SEC tournament and SEC champions if he did that. So
Devon
I
on
don't
there
think he's going to do
said,
that.
cicadas are only once every 13 years. The Vandy Whistler is the annual annoyance.
To check back in on the poll, 82% of you now say the Vandy Whistler more annoying than cicadas.
Yeah.
Wow, that
There you
is. I wonder what it's like for him. See, if I were going to redo my story, now that I'm more seasoned in this market, I would be asking the hard hitting questions of, do you embrace that villain role?
I would. Again, I ain't got no problem with the individual at all. Like I said, I just hear it on the broadcast, and I hear background noise, and I hear him more than anything.
And look, it's not just Vols fans. Like, there are fans in the SEC in general that also feel that is annoying. But
Yeah.
I kind of find it funny.
There's an
I
Ole
find
Miss
it funny,
fan
so I do.
from Barstool Sports who went viral for telling him off in person.
Oh, straight up?
Ben Mintz last year. And then he went up to him this year, and they became friends.
Look, I
The
love
guy,
that.
disarmed him.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably that. But I treat it, if I was a Vandy Whistler, I treat it like Michael Scott dating Pam's mom.
I'm just going to whistle even harder.
Date her even
Yes, right? You up that tone of that whistle.
Great job by you.
I'm doing like crazy long exercises and everything. I'm a whistle even harder.
Coming up next, VolQuest's Austin Price again notes on basketball, baseball, football, where there's big Tennessee news over the weekend, and we'll get that all for you coming up next. When the glass breaks, it is time to talk Vols right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will with the best source available to us and to you. And that's on 3 in VolQuest's Austin Price at Austin Priceless, where you find him on Twitter. Joining us right now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will from the Music City, Austin. On 3 Elite Series going on this week today, and you guys have got quite a star-studded list of prospects that are in Nashville, Tennessee today.
We really do. We're at the W Hotel, which means, I'm outside, and that also means that you're going to get the Gulch in its full glory this morning with all the jackhammers and cranes and everything else that's being built down here as Nashville turns into Atlanta.
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, a ton of big-time prospects in town. From a Tennessee perspective, it's led by George McIntyre and David Sanders. You also have Caleb Cunningham, Jamie French, Travis Smith, Jordan Young, all in town. That Tennessee's recruiting and a few more. And, again, it's led by George McIntyre, who I believe, because he is driving and lives just down the street, will be the first athlete on the scene this morning. And that means he'll be here to maybe open the door for old David Sanders when he arrives here later this morning.
I like it. Austin Price, our guest here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, right down the road at the On 3 Elite Series. So, Austin, let's start with David Sanders. I know you guys made the note at VolQuest.com that you'll catch up with him today down there, but what kind of impression do you think Tennessee is continuing to make on one of the top players in the country and the number one left tackle in the country who was on campus over the weekend?
Yeah, I think Tennessee continues to, set the pace here. You saw national guys that, are as good as anybody in the game, Chad Simmons, Steve Wilfong, say if his recruitment ended today that they believe Tennessee would be the pick. I've been saying that for a while, that Tennessee's in the best spot. But again, long way to go. Got to survive official visits. A lot can change over the next 3 or 4 weeks with official visits happening. And so when you start, thinking about his recruitment, you think, okay, you've done all you can do to this point to be in the position you're in. You're in the best possible spot. But you still have to continue on. You're still going to continue to impress. But he had a great time over the weekend. Just loves hanging out with the staff. I think he jived really well with the fellow offensive lineman Nick Moore from Jefferson County. Those two, if you talk to them, it's like talking to a couple of 40-year-olds. I mean, they're just so mature, so outgoing. Man, they can just talk. And, so I think from a personality standpoint, they jive really well. And they honestly jive with Glenn Ellerby, who, again, likes a smart offensive lineman, likes intelligence, high IQ, and both those guys bring that. But Sanders is, someone that Tennessee has worked extremely hard on, and to this point, it showed.
I know, Austin, we've talked about Nick Moore, the Jefferson County lineman who plays for Spencer Riley, former Tennessee offensive lineman, of course, from 96 to 99. Did Tennessee kind of get in late on that? And how much ground have they already been able to make up on teams like Vanderbilt, who were maybe a little bit earlier in scouting and recruiting him?
Yeah, I mean, a few other teams offered him earlier. Tennessee's been on him for a while. They just didn't offer until they went by there this spring. And, it certainly feels like Tennessee's got a ton of momentum there. I'm not saying he couldn't pick Vanderbilt because he certainly could. But it just feels like, Tennessee is rapidly, increasing their efforts. I think he's noticed that. I think, the love that he felt over the weekend was really impressive to him. And I feel like Tennessee is closing fast there. It's kind of like that horse that lays back and then down the stretch, it just kicks it into overdrive. That's what it kind of feels like in this recruitment. You're going to take official visits, Vanderbilt, West Virginia. He's going to visit Clemson coming up on June 3rd. But it feels like Tennessee's got some momentum here as we head into official visit season next month.
Austin Price of VolQuest and On 3 joining us this morning. I can't forget it's this morning, Austin. Jeez. All right. Either way, I have to ask you, over this past weekend, A65 Live, Knoxville is a college town that's growing like crazy, like almost every SEC city right now, Austin. But all I hear from over the weekend on these big recruiting junior days and whatnot is how much fun they're having in Knoxville. Austin, what in the hell are they doing in Knoxville to get this type of reaction and I guess recoil of it being a great weekend from these recruits?
Well, they're just trying to make it relaxed. It's not football related. This isn't like your junior day, which is more like a car wash, right? Like junior days, you bring them in, you push them through, and it's 70 kids, and all that. This is more like it's about 20 to 25 kids. All these guys are takes for Tennessee. They're not bringing in players that, they're just looking at or just evaluating. All these guys are guys that if they wanted to commit right now, Tennessee's like, yep, get in. And so it's just a more laid-back thing. They're going to the golf facility and playing games, on the putting green over there. They're doing, scavenger hunts. They're, doing like a big party with Sterl the Pearl down at Neyland Stadium, and and he's in full bloom down there. Sterl, there's really only one. It's like they turned Sterl on years ago. The knob broke, and he only knows one pace, right? And so, we were outside the stadium, and one of the other media guys was like, "They got Sterl here," and I jokingly said, "No, they just had him record some phrases, and they just push a button and it plays," and so. It's just about being laid back and having a good time, and they don't talk recruiting. They don't talk a lot of football at the 865 Live event. Now, again, official visits, they'll tailor that more to, okay, hey, here's your film. This is how we see you fitting in. Here's what we think. Da 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 da. 865 Live is much more just kind of like, hey, let's just have a good time. Let's chill. Let's have a good time. Now, I'll say this: over the next month, Tennessee will use that Tennessee River on OVs as a real notch in the belt. They'll take the kids out and they'll go, wakeboarding and stuff like that out there on the river, which is within a mile of campus and totally legal. And, for years that thing went kind of like, ignored, and then Butch Jones kind of put it in play, and other coaches have since kind of taken it up a notch with some of the stuff they do out there. And again, that's a real feather in Tennessee's cap, having that being one of only two God-made waterways that can lead up to a stadium. Baylor is a man-made waterway that leads up to their stadium. So only one of three that you can get to by water and or by land.
Austin Price with us this morning here in Nashville, actually, at the three big top recruits here at the W Nashville Hotel, man.
You didn't come see me, Ramon. You didn't come see me. It really bothers me. You should be here. I should be live in front of you guys right now.
Well, did you have VIP? That's the big question, because that's the only way he's stepping into anything.
Well, for Ramon, we can make him a VIP.
I appreciate that. Just give me one.
He can just walk in the door and say, "Hey, I'm Ken DeRon Slade."
You know what I'm saying? It's my brother. Just give me one of those nice wristbands right there, okay? With that being said, Austin, you mentioned a lot of prospects right now, okay? Charles House is one. David Sanders is another. And there's a lot of others. It's three states that have to be, I think, locked down for Tennessee to be a whole lot better. And I'll throw Georgia in there too. But North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. From Kellum Selden to David Sanders, Charles House, and others that have come out of that state as of late. I was told once before by somebody, look, there's never been a time in history where Tennessee and Clemson have been good, because it's usually the battle of the Carolinas and Virginia. What's so unique about these three states as it pertains to college recruiting right now for the Vols?
Well, I think the biggest thing you have is like for years, Tennessee, didn't do much in Virginia. You've seen them change that the last couple of years. They didn't do a ton in North Carolina. Now, they kind of cherry-picked. You saw Marquez North come out of North Carolina and, a few others. But, Jimmy Pruitt started recruiting North Carolina a little bit. But Josh Heupel and company really have. You can thank Scott Altizer for that. Scott's, was Phillips' recruiting guy for a long time. Went as the, deputy AD to David Blackburn at Chattanooga. Came back with Josh Heupel kind of in that VFL role. But he has a huge influence just based off of his success at Tennessee. And the one thing he's always going to push is stay in the footprint. You can cherry pick out other states, sure, but hey, let's focus on the Carolinas. Let's focus on Virginia. Let's focus obviously on Georgia. Georgia's always going to be a spot that all schools recruit. There's so many athletes in that state. You're always trying to dip in there, but Tennessee's trying to be a bigger player in North Carolina the last few years. That's why you saw, Jalen Wright, that was a Jeremy Pruitt recruit, but then James Pierce, obviously David Hobbs. Tennessee's going big on David Sanders in this class, and Faison Brandon in 2026 and Kendry Harrison in 2026. So, those states are important. And, if you can cherry pick a few others and get, some nice players out of California or Mississippi or Alabama or Florida, great. But you've got to kind of be within that footprint. And Tennessee is, tried to be more of a factor in a state that really for, several years, they didn't recruit as hard as they did back when Tennessee was really, really good. When Tennessee's been really, really good, you're right. They recruited the Carolinas. Now, it's a little harder in South Carolina, but, North Carolina, it's easier to get kids out of that state, which is why Clemson, Georgia, all those teams that have had success the last 15 years when Tennessee wasn't very good, they did what Tennessee did back when Tennessee was good. And so you saw Tennessee be able to go, and go into those states, kind of foster some new relationships and start building things for the future out of all those states.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us here on RKW this morning. He is at the W Nashville right here in town. So excited to have you in town, Austin. So speaking of having guys in town, and Ramon brought up the Memorial Day 865 live event, just talking about some specifics in general, and Hoover Thompson High School edge, Jared Smith in particular. I loved how, you guys talked with him, and he said a lot about just how important it was to mesh with these coaches. What did he say that really intrigued him about his visit?
Well, I think for Jared, it's just about, getting up here, spending more time. When you're at Thompson, it's easy to get to Alabama.
Yep.
It's easy to get to Auburn. To get around Tennessee's coaches, just get a feel for them, I thought, was big. In the end, is a kid from Thompson really going to leave the Alabama? Probably not. But at the same time, Jordan Ross left Alabama a year ago. And so, it will be interesting to kind of see, how this thing goes over the next month. I think Tennessee's got some momentum leaving the weekend, Kayla. As he said, Tennessee's way more in this than people realize. But what does that mean? Does that mean, people give them no shot and they actually have a small shot, or people give him a small shot and they actually have a legit shot? And so, when you look at Jared Smith, he's long. he looks like your prototypical edge.
Yeah.
He looks like James Pierce. And just a big, long, lanky kid that is an athlete. And so, I think the next month will tell the tale. Can Tennessee keep the momentum they had from this weekend heading into the official visit in June?
Is this the time, though, to strike if you're Josh Heupel and his assistants? Because Alabama, look, there's newness there, right? And something that has happened there for a long time in terms of Nick Saban dominating, he's gone. And you look at Auburn, they're still trying to figure out who they are as a program. If you are a guy, from the Alabama area and you're being recruited, you're looking at Tennessee, and then position-wise in particular with him, you look at this position, you say, oh, okay, they might be producing some guys here. Is that the time to strike when it's maybe a little bit down in that area?
Absolutely. You have to take advantage of, especially if Alabama were to start slow this year.
Yeah.
Listen, the people that think they're just going to fall off the map are silly. It's still going to be Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now, are they going to lose once every couple of years, Alabama? That one I'll have to see. But they're absolutely going to still be a force. And so, but you still have to strike while the iron's hot, especially if they were to lose a game or two early. You've got to kind of create that doubt. Nick's not there. They're not the same Alabama, and put it in kids' minds, because everybody does that to Tennessee or other schools. If the school kind of cracks the foundation a little bit, other schools take advantage of it. So, you have to continue to kind of plant that seed and, make them feel loved. But, that's the one thing that I think Josh Heupel and them do a pretty good job of. They don't really negative recruit. They just highlight what they do well.
Sure.
And, if kids, want to correlate it all together, that's really on them. But, I've seen staffs that around here have negatively recruited, and I've seen schools negatively recruit Tennessee. This staff doesn't really do that. Now, are they going to point out, hey, they've not had a, third-round pick, or they've not had a first or second-round pick at this position since, 1997. Yeah, they're going to do that because those are facts. But, they're not going to intentionally, kind of run a school down. That's just not kind of how they do things on this staff. And so, but I do think that they want to try to strike while the iron's hot when it pertains to kids from Alabama or other states.
Austin Price of VolQuest, our guest at Austin Priceless, where you follow him on Twitter. Austin, the last time a Middle Tennessee high school corner was as quick as Donovan Starr, it was Andre Evans last season at CPA, who exploded his senior season, ran a 10.500 in his junior year state track meet. I was in attendance that day. And now he is a Georgia Bulldog. Donovan Starr just did the exact same thing, a corner from Ravenwood. He just ran 10.56 in the 100-meter dash at the Tennessee State track meet. He was on campus over the weekend. Where does Tennessee stand with him, and how much has his stock risen over these past few months?
Well, it's risen quite a bit. He's seen more and more traction. He's picked up several offers, and Tennessee started to recruit him a little bit harder. Tennessee never really went in on Andre Evans. They offered him just to kind of get in the game, but the more they kind of did a deep dive on him, the more they didn't recruit him. And it's kind of been the opposite with Donovan Starr. The more they kind of deep dive on Donovan Starr, the more they've recruited him a little bit more. The kid's about just a hair shy of 6 foot, about 175 pounds. And so, from a length standpoint, he has what you're looking for. And so, again, it has continued to pick up more and more traction. I think the official visit, in the month of June will be big for Tennessee. I would say they're in this. I would not say they're the leader at this point, but they're definitely in it.
And Austin, on the way out, of course, the SEC tournament goes to Tennessee baseball over the weekend. We have their draw with Southern Miss, who will have the opportunity to go to however many Applebee's they want to this time playing Tennessee. The potential Chase Burns matchup as well, though, in the Super Regional, if they get past ECU, certainly fascinating. What did you make about Tennessee's draw, and how confident do you feel like that coaching staff is with their team right now?
I think it's a fantastic draw for Tennessee. Now, I think everybody saw the Chase Burns draw coming. Chase Burns and Wake Forest still have to get past East Carolina and their regional this weekend, but I think Tennessee likes kind of where they're at. They planned at home. If you get that Chase Burns versus Drew Beam or whoever matchup, then that thing's going to go one of two ways. Burns is going to be so jacked up that he's lights out, or he's going to be so jacked up that they're going to tattoo him and he'll be gone in the second inning. I don't think there's an in between. I don't see a 6-inning outing where he gives up a couple of runs. This is either going to be peak Chase Burns where he gives up 0, or where he gets shellacked and run out of the stadium. But the vitriol for that one will be. I want to be there for that. Honestly, I think it'll be fantastic. like when Henry came back for Alabama, you got 100,000 people in there, and there's so much more going on. When you're the pitcher and there's only 7,000 people in there, 8,000 people in there, it's just different. I think it's more center focused, and so again, can they get past East Carolina this weekend? And Chase Burns is only one man. They've got to beat Tennessee 2 out of 3. And Tennessee, I think is playing as well as any team in college baseball. Obviously, they're the number 1 overall seed. But, you got to think about it. They lost to Vanderbilt in the opener. And then never really, they didn't use their pitchers in a way to tax themselves. They used a bunch of guys that they haven't used all year, and they still won the SEC tournament. And I love there was a post on VolQuest. Tennessee was outscored 29-27 because of how Vanderbilt beat them 13-4 in that first game, and they still won the SEC tournament. So they found ways to win all year, whether it's outslug teams, whether that's a low-scoring pitching battle. I think you have to feel better about where you're at with Dylan Loy, Marcus Phillips. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, maybe these guys are ready for prime time in regionals, super regionals, College World Series. We'll see what A.J. Russell. Obviously, Tony kind of, downplayed, the trainer, messing with him after the game. I can see that. The trainer's going to come over and go, how you feeling? He's going to show him, and go from there. So, again, I think that this baseball team is doing what it needs to do to win. And we'll be interested to kind of see if we get that, Wake Forest Tennessee matchup in the Supers. And if we do, I want to be there for it.
Oh, love it. Absolutely. Austin Price here with us every Tuesday morning at 8:20 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, joining us from right down the road in Nashville today. Austin, appreciate the time as always. We'll be following along. You guys crushing it with the On3 Elite Series. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Austin Price with us. And today, 3 to 6, you can hear 3HL live from the W Hotel. They are VIPs.
They are.
Yeah,
VIPs.
I had to make sure I was asking that important question.
I knew the offer was there.
Because W is that's a really chic hotel. So I assumed they'd have VIP access. So.
Treated like a Motel 6.
What was that?
When Ramon Foster, Ramon Foster is a VIPs in terms of very important Pittsburgh Steeler.
Don't you guys stay in that a lot, though? Athletes stay in W's a lot. I feel like that's a popular hotel.
It depends on the team, though.
Gotcha.
It usually depends on the team, yeah.
That's how owners can affect their NFLPA survey at the end of the season. Put everyone up in W hotels. Coming up, there is an update on something the NFL Players Association is working to finalize that would be a massive change to the professional football offseason schedule. We'll get to that coming up next.
I never said that was fair. All right. Anyways, what is fair? QC Kinetics. And yes, they are fair when it comes to healing your joint pain. Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of that joint pain? Well, this is the best time for being outdoors, but not if your knees, your shoulders, your backs, hips are hurting. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. Don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here, and it's at QC Kinetics. Call them today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and we're talking about long-lasting joint pain relief here. No surgery, no drugs. You've heard it, no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments actually harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue so you can walk and run and hike and play golf. Just move pain-free again. And if you were wondering, QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a true pioneer in regenerative medicine, and he is doing a lot to help people feel better. So stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Go ahead and call them for a free consultation as QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Wrap it up, hour 3 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW 104.5 The Zone, and there could be a big change coming to the NFL calendar. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network and NFL Media tweets a few minutes ago, end of OTAs. The NFL Players Association is working to finalize a proposal to overhaul the offseason starting as soon as 2025, eliminating voluntary on-field work in the spring in favor of a longer training camp ramp-up, with players reporting in mid-June to early July, per sources. Pat McAfee has weighed in on this as well, says, so not an end to OTAs, seemingly just a readjustment of when they would be. They did something similar during COVID. I believe most of the guys, Pat McAfee says, loved it for their bodies and such going into training camp. Ramon, as a player, how would you feel about OTAs leading straight into training camp?
I'll be honest, when you first said this from Tom Pelissero, I was like, oh, hold on now, player. Hold on now, because I was like, what are you talking about? And as I read the tweet more and more, his tweets more and more, again, when Tom Pelissero gets an announcement like this, something's probably going to happen, okay? But I get it. I fully understand it because of this right here. To play the season, then you get off, say you don't make the playoffs, middle of January now. January, February, March. Okay, you really don't get back to working out till like March, February, April for some anyway. And the thing about OTAs is this. OTAs is practice. They've tried to deaden some of the physicality that we have throughout the course of the year. But the idea of ramping up for OTAs, and it's very competitive. Some teams have gotten reprimanded because it's too physical. Baltimore being one of those teams, Seattle being one of those teams, have gotten penalties because of it. And it is a lot of non-padded practices that are very physical still. There are components of it again. Hate to keep bringing up Brunskill, but Brunskill getting thrown on his butt by Big Jeff was in a non-padded situation. This, to me, gives him a longer offseason, which, again, as physical as football is, you have the ability to have more time in the offseason, plan out your offseason, and the longer ramp-up period, to me, is this. Make it real when it's about to be real. If you're going to start, it said mid-June, that's my only pushback.
Mid-June to early July is when you would have OTAs.
Give me after the 4th of July. That's my own personal clock. Anytime the 4th of July happened, you can ask my family and anybody that's been around me. Summer's over. It's football. All right? Like, the summer's over. We're done. I can't understand going to early June, but you got to think of it. For the teams that don't make the playoffs, that's 5.5 months of rest to recover, to get your body back. If you had a surgery, you don't have to worry about the pressures of seeing your teammates being out there practicing while you're in the training room and stuff like that. So I can get with this if you start me after July 4th.
Yeah, I actually, and I'm not a player, but I will say covering this team, it has been crazy in terms of trying to keep up with, like, when players are back, when the weeks are that there's OTAs, when the mini camps coming. Like, there's a lot of, like, it's going week to week by now.
Yeah, it is.
When it comes to when these players are here, when they're not. And you talk about OTAs being voluntary, but really,
They're
Ramon,
not.
come on.
They're
Are
not.
they really? Look at the guys that haven't been here for the Titans that we can at least report haven't been on the field. It's the veteran guys that you expect, okay, they've earned that. But at the same time, you've got these new veteran guys that feel like they kind of have to be here.
They have to be there.
And so I feel like there is pressure for some of those players to be wherever they need to be during OTAs and not be able to just continue to train with their trainers in Miami or Arizona or wherever they might be. I think it'd be nice just for them to have an actual solid block of, hey, I'm going to spend my time in California for 4 months. And I don't have to worry about coming back and switching over things. So overall, I look at it, and I'm not a player again, but it looks like it could be just a little bit more organized, consistent in the way that you lead up to a season.
And so the last part of his tweets, the last 2 tweets under this thread of his is basically saying it's reducing injuries because you get an opportunity to ramp up. But the last part, I think, is one of the more important parts to where guys feel like they're not just animals in a petting zoo. Is this part right here. The NFLPA push to revised offseason isn't directly tied to the 18-game schedule. However, it's worth noting a longer schedule would further shorten the time between the season and training camp. Another reason players consolidating time off into one long break would make sense.
Yeah.
It is that point of it right there. For as babied and pacified as we are, I can admit that. to have longer time where you can actually plan out time for your families, vacation, and just recovery in one long extended period, I think makes a lot of sense.
It would take out the voluntary aspect of just, do you want to be here or do you not?
Exactly.
And you feel that pressure.
Does it feel like the NFL wants to get rid of some of their bad PR in that context too, of like guys that aren't where they're technically supposed to be?
So Denver had a guy week 1 towards ACL or Achilles. That's also what you're getting rid of too.
Yeah.
Is now I can actually pay you to be injured instead of having you, I think the checks are like $500 a week for OTAs. Like, this dude isn't getting paid, and now they got to put him on IR for the rest of the season. At least give me real football before you're out for the season.
And the good news is one thing they passed in the offseason was you can add players to injured reserve before the season starts now and pull them back. I believe you can add a maximum of 2 players to injured reserve before the season starts and bring them back to the active roster during the season.
That's right. Yep. 615-737-1045, the number. What Greg Sankey said in Destin yesterday about athlete employment and one way that college football might become a little bit more like NFL football. That's next.
9 o'clock. What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Vols wrapped up the weekend snagging an SEC championship, taking down LSU 4-3 and getting their second number one seed in program history, hosting a regional in Knoxville. The other teams in Knoxville for the regional include Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and Southern Miss. They are paired with the Greenville Regional, where former Vols pitcher Chase Burns leads the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. The Celtics wrapped up the Eastern Conference Finals, winning Game 4, completing the sweep of the Indiana Pacers 105-102 last night. Derek White broke the tie with 45 seconds remaining, hitting a huge three. The Mavs could also break out their brooms tonight with a Game 4 win in Dallas. Center Derek Lively is doubtful to play after suffering a neck injury in Game 3. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are the first starting backcourt to both have at least 30 points in the same game 3 times in a postseason in the last 50 years. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday morning on remote, Kayla and Will already into hour number 4 of RKW 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is how you make your voice heard. That is how you converse with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, myself, Will Bowling, Greg Sankey. After Tennessee raised the SEC baseball tournament trophy yesterday, made a drive that many of you have made many times. Passing through Birmingham all the way down to Destin, Florida. I don't know if he drove it. He's probably got a plane to take him.
He definitely got a plane.
Down to the Destin Executive Airport. That is where SEC spring meetings are this week. And yesterday says that he still wants congressional help for college sports, saying they constitute, quote, a national system that deserves national standards. More on that, because that's a broader discussion and we have less answers on that. But guys, did you see the one way that college football might be more like the NFL soon?
What, a CBA?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Injury reports.
Oh.
That's big time.
Ross Dellinger
Specifics.
tweeting yesterday. Greg Sankey speaking to a group here in Destin before SEC meetings begin Tuesday, which obviously is today, says the SEC will hold conversations this week about the possible implementation of college athlete availability reports leading up to games. Finally.
Yeah. That and the helmet mic for defensive players, the green dot in college, basically. And for the quarterback also, 2 things I think that college should catch up with. I know there's been a soft introduction of the 2-minute warning too in football and college football.
Yep.
So it's getting closer and closer to how you basically have an NFL junior at this point. The injury report is what reasons do we have other than the fact that you need to know why a star player is out? Betting. Right now, betting is huge on all aspects of every sport
100%.
in America. This is also where that leads. I will say, going into the game weekends and not knowing where at times Javonte Spraggin was out for a game, right?
Cooper Mays
out for. Why are they out? Why is he out? Why are those players out? I think it gives more clarity and also forces the coaches to plan out accordingly too when you know what a player is dealing with. And I think it also gives clarity to players too in those things. I remember guys being out for games and I knew they probably were dinged up, but didn't know why, even as a player, like, why is he out for the game? Why is he not playing? Now you have the ability to know because they hand out that game day actives, inactives, and whether it's for injuries and stuff like that. We see that, and I think it also should be able to help these young pros because that's what they are at this point now in college football, plan out how they're going to attack a team too. Well, if this guy's got an elbow and I see it on the injury report, I'm going to attack this elbow. If he has an ankle, I got to know how. I think it adds – and it adds an incentive to the game that somewhat makes it better too. by saying, hey, this wide receiver has been dealing with a hamstring all week long. We can guess that they're dealing with a hamstring, but now we'll know in these situations. And it somewhat simplifies the game, I think, for the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and also for the players.
Yeah, and some players, and some teams and some coaches might not love that because of the privacy part of that, privacy aspect of these kids. They're still kids, right? But at the same time, once you get money involved, other things, other doors start to open of where there is more transparency that has to be had. And the one league that I always question, and again, it's the NHL, they do things different, is, they've never gone away from upper lower body injuries, which is always so funny. They've never gone away from that. But yeah, this is one of those things where it's just one of the small detailed parts about college football. You're going to start to see things like this change. And when money's involved, like I said, other things evolve. So I think there is a positive aspect to this, though, you guys, like you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting to see what coaches will feel about this, too, because I know some do not want that out there.
Because they don't have to answer a thing now.
If you make both teams do it, I don't think coaches will mind.
No.
Yeah.
Because they're also going to gain something if they're giving something.
Right. It's a give and take situation.
Yeah, I like it. Again, money's involved, stuff has to change. But it's also just, I think it makes the players more aware of what happens at the next level, too, with them having to either rehab the right way. And here's the other side of it, too. College doesn't give you much of a luxury because there's usually a 4-star guy or a developmental 3-star behind you that can take your spot instantly in college. There's not much that you can fight back on because – again, on the NFL level, your pace sometimes suggests, or your consistency sometimes suggests that you should still remain the starter. Yeah. Where it comes into play now is these young guys that want to go out there and they're probably injured. Do you go play and mess up your ability to remain a starter, or do you sit out and start making business decisions like, I could play on this 85% hamstring, but I'm probably better waiting one more week? It forces you to make adult decisions, and the game is getting to that point anyway. Sankey's just alluding to a lot of stuff that is going to be, I don't even want to say a collaboration, but it's going to be on the same highway as what the NFL does moving forward real soon.
And you already have the helmet communication, 2-minute timeouts at the end of each half as well. So
I like it.
The NFL minor leagues.
There you go.
Specifically the SEC.
Yeah.
What does it do for betting, though, moving forward now?
Well, it's going to move lines more significantly, where if Nico Iamaleava, for whatever reason, is unavailable for a Tennessee game, you're talking about if we know a quarterback is out, right? Wasn't that Florida-Utah game the first instance where Cam Rising, the Utah quarterback, was knocked out, and then Cam Rising was hurt or maybe coming back for half of the season last year for Utah, to where if we had known that the backup quarterback was going to be in there, then that's a line that could move 4 or 5 points based on a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're informing the betting market more clearly which side of the line they should be. Greg Sankey meeting with the media yesterday in Destin. He talked about this on Sunday's SEC Tournament Championship broadcast between Tennessee and LSU as well. About the fear of cutting sports as well, and about Congress and where they get involved with scholarship limits, Title IX, all of these things. And essentially the message from Greg Sankey yesterday was telling his coaches to slow down and just wait. Says coaches have texted our coaches. They get fired up. We said just wait. We are going to have a conversation. That's where it is, a concept. Understand that football captures the attention, but we have 21 championship sports, all of which need to have a level of conversation about that roster piece of things. That's in reference to the House settlement between the NCAA and 3 different class action lawsuits that essentially says $20 million of your money every year as a university goes to athletes. Well, does that mean that the same amount go to the rowing team as the football team? Does that mean you can have unlimited scholarships, but you just have a university-wide amount? Greg Sankey says we need congressional input in order to really give a national standard of what that's going to look like.
I'm with Sankey on this in a lot of different ways, too, because I do, and call me a softie or whatever you want to call me in this sense by saying this, too. But if you start to pay college athletes from the university budget, One side of this is the sports that do bring in a ton of money, but there's also the admissions, right? That people that do have to pay to go to universities. And when you pay the university to go to school there, this is where I think as far as professors go, teachers on college campuses will at some point, if they don't do this the correct way, have issues with athletes who don't attend class often or just come to class and don't pay attention and make Fs that are still paid through the university. And I'm here supposedly under a university contract to teach and to be a professor. That's where issues can arise if they don't do this the correct way. I heard Buck and Lucas having a conversation last week, and some people, the pushback, well, you get the education. Yeah, you do get the education aspect of it too. And that to me is a big ball of baloney, okay, the educational side of it. The issues that I will have is on the professor side. And you're probably thinking, you shouldn't think about the professors.
No, that's fair.
They are all now paid employees of the university.
Yeah.
Fairness has to come into it. And that also means pay to the professors, because here's the thing about it. As much as college coaches recruit players, athletes, colleges in general recruit professors to be at their universities too for research, for academic prestige. All of these things have to line up. So I'm with Sankey on saying, hey, slow down before you guys start making commitments to these players and making them employees, because there's a whole academic admission side that we have to also make sure is taken care of too, especially when you're talking about a $20 million pot going to specifically athletes. And I don't care if it's on the women's side, men's side, everybody knows now that you are employing athletes. And these people have been in this profession for 20 years as professors. And you got to make sure they're compensated well, because the worst thing you need is a walkout of professors on college campuses because they feel like they've been unjustly paid. That's one devil that you might have to dance with at some point.
Coming up, we'll talk about that with 3HL and SEC Network's Ron Slay. We've got a third straight SEC All Sports Championship that was secured by Tennessee over the weekend. We could dive into that. Plus, the basketball recruit we have been talking about for months from right here in Nashville who has committed to Tennessee over the weekend. All that and more with 3HL's Ron Slay coming up next. Tuesday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will at 9:20. The studio gets a lot more fun. Ron Slay of 3HL and SEC Network joins us. A great day to have Ron Slay on the program, considering you got Tennessee winning another SEC championship. You got Rick Barnes adding another portal commitment, who Ron Slay happens to know decently well, he says sarcastically.
Just a little bit.
We've got the On 3 Elite Series. You guys are hanging out at 3HL today at the W Hotel. What's going on, Slay? How are you?
I'm good, man. I thought you were going to say it's a good day to be a Tennessee Vol, but
sure is.
I think that's
They came in with matching jerseys, so I knew
we're the exact same jersey.
The vibe was there.
And see, I just need the one in between them, and then I can wear it. That one might be too big, that one was too little.
This one's
it's like the three little bags. Just right.
I'm Goldilocks in this whole thing.
You know what I mean? No, I'm good, man. It's a good weekend, long weekend. Seemed like it should have been one more day. When you know what, man. When you start to have weekends like this, or 3-day weekends, you got to somehow find a day for recovery.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It got to be a recovery day because it sneaks up on you so fast. You just sitting there like, dang, you got to start this thing back over, man. So I'm going to have to do a little better job of pacing myself. You know what I mean? This is just being self-aware, looking in the mirror, coming off the weekend, looking at my scouting report, and then, I look at the scouting report, and I think I could have did some better rest. So I'm going to be better about that next time. But
I was going to say, is the scouting report the amount of remotes you guys have in 3HL for the week? You scout where you're going to be for the week?
I'll take them too, man, especially when it's events like the On 3, though, man. Like last year when we had the opportunity to do it, it was really dope to be able to talk to the user. Man, I was blown away by the maturity of these kids.
Mike Matthews was one of the guys who had on last year.
It was amazing to me, man. Like sitting there listening to them talk, and I was thinking about myself when I was like 18. No, these ain't the conversations, And then, matter of fact, I graduated at 17, so it would have been 16. So I'm really like, man, y'all got a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like my plan was after my sophomore year, all right, man, I might be able to go to college in this thing. You know what I mean? I'm going to college. And that was it, though. Like, how the process of getting there, the grades.
What you was going to do.
Yeah, how it was, like, what school, like, all that was, they have it planned out and detailed to the point, man, where I was like, dog, who is managing you?
The only plan I heard anybody say, and it was probably most common in our era, was this. I say our era. Oh, yeah.
I know, right? We're there. We're there.
OG, old guy, as Don Davenport would say.
She threw that at me. I was like, dang, what? I've never heard that either.
Take that back.
The most common plan that anybody had that had this type of mindset was, I'm leaving after 3.
Yeah,
that's the only plan I ever heard.
Yeah,
I'm leaving after 3.
Absolutely, and that was for what Dick Vitale always called diaper dandies in basketball, even in football. Like I was listening to an interview Antoine Walker did, and they were loaded at Kentucky. He came into Kentucky thinking, "Man, I'm gonna stay for 3 years." Said he had to go talk to Pitino and was like, "Man, I ain't really ready to go. I like this. I expect to stay for 3 years, and this was a lottery pick. You know what I'm saying? So to see these guys, man, come in with the plans and their bodies look good too. Like it's
crazy.
I just keep on thinking about how I was.
What you were eating and everything.
Man, I'm peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, carbo force drinks, man. Pack a now later.
Yes.
Keep it pushing, win the game. That's what I'm
fries and chicken tenders.
Man, hey man, it was different, man. But kudos to them. I think Grant and those guys, man, they do a terrific job as far as getting those guys in one room and having people come back, mentor them. And now, even with this going, I think this is the second year or third year?
I think it's the second.
Yeah, even with this, like, I remember last year they had, what's the girl, the gymnast?
Livy Dunn.
They had her to come back and speak to them. Girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So now you have a group that went out, and you can bring those guys to come back and speak and talk about what the program meant, what they took from it. It's eye-opening, and you need this, man. You need this as much as possible in the climate that these guys are living in.
And they bring in one parent, too, right?
Yeah.
With the
a couple of them about 2. So, because I think somebody said they wouldn't come without their grandmama and their mama. And they popped up. I was like, hey, man, that's all right, man.
That's pretty cool.
The whole gang down here, so it was cool.
Yeah, designed for financial literacy. Marketing executives are there. Other prominent voices within college sports. I know that's something Kirk Herbstreit has been involved in the past as well. and speaking to these athletes. And it's May 28th today through 30th. So in downtown Nashville. But I mean, you've got the number one player in the country in Bryce Underwood in town. You've got David Sanders, the left tackle that Austin Price just told us Tennessee is in the lead for at this point, between Tennessee and Ohio State at that point. You have got, I believe, 8 of the top 10 players in the On3 rankings that are all here this week. So looking forward to hearing who you guys are able to talk to later today.
Yeah, I can't wait. Cool. I know we got Mike Matthews. We got Grant. Not Grant. What's my guy, the quarterback? Start with an M. Merklinger.
Yeah, Jake Merklinger last year.
Yeah. So it was good crop, man.
Do you have Sammy Brown, inside linebacker?
Yeah.
Last year?
So did boy. He looked
Clemson guy. Tennessee badly wanted him.
Look good.
Yeah.
God, he's one of them guys you walk up and be like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Who's your trainer?
You're going to do something wherever you go, boy. You're going to do something. Right?
Do these guys and gals, do they dress up or are they that's the other
at
thing?
that time they would dress down. Now they may have something else.
Yeah,
they may have something else in the event. Yeah. I think it should be a time for that, but I thought, who was it? Our guy, Brad Lampley, brought the guys down. And that was pretty dope, having the guys in suits going to visit the Titans facility and all that. Then have some other guys come speak to them later. That was pretty dope.
Do you have, because most of these, the reason they're there is because you can track the ESPN Top 100. I think the On3 100 or 75, however they do it. The tops, basically, are usually, they walk the path to making it to be pros. Yep. With that being said, is there a crowd of autograph getters outside too?
It wasn't when we went. Okay. And I think we caught it early on. So would it been 3 days? What did you say, the 28th through the 30th?
Yep.
They may have an opportunity for them to be around some people to do that. But it was almost like Secret Service going in there the last time. I think it was at the Thompson. And as soon as you come in, you got to have your. It was some people in the lobby.
Okay.
I'm lying. It was about 10 people in the lobby, and we got there early.
I figured.
Yeah, but you had to have a pass to get to the elevator. Somebody had to take you from the elevator to the floor. When you get on the floor, you got to show them another pass. I was like, y'all loaded. Okay.
That's the side of this the kids don't. These young athletes don't know too. It's like you got to protect your signature. You got to protect who you talk to. You got to protect what you're signing and pushing out there in the pictures you take, because a lot of these people they make careers out of getting these autographs. And if you've ever been around a franchise quarterback, they don't usually sign free. They are usually in hotel rooms signing 250 items for $500,000. And I'm sure this is the type of stuff that they learn in these settings, because especially with the marketing people there. This is a very fascinating thing.
Absolutely.
Very fascinating thing.
Absolutely.
Slade Chaslanier committed to Tennessee over the weekend. Let's start there.
Big time grab.
For maybe the Tennessee fan that has not been in the weeds with his recruitment, if you were scouting Chaslanier for someone who is not familiar with his game, who is or isn't a Tennessee fan, how would you describe the kind of player Tennessee got in a guy who, as we understand, is one of the top players in the transfer portal in the entire offseason?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this young man, when given the opportunity to score, he can put the ball in the hole with the best of them. From 3, nice mid-range game, can attack the basket. It was 2 guys last year, I think 2 guys last year with 30-plus dunks and 100-plus threes made, and it was him, and the other one was Dalton Connect. So when you start talking about a guy plugging and playing, this is a system built for him, especially when you have the opportunity to have the other pieces around him. But handling the ball, pushing it ahead, finishing in transition, athletic, a long 6'4". It's listed as 6'4", but you could lean to 6'5". In this situation, short torso, long limbs, though. You know what I'm saying? And built up very well. You can tell he's been in the weight room. You can see his body change.
6'9" wingspan.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's long. And come off that one leg, either one, finishing in traffic, through contact. I think one of the things that he'll have to end up working on is, though, the physicality as far as getting through and defending ball screens and things of that nature at the Power 5 level. But walking into it, man, he ready to go to work. Like this young man it's not going to be shying away from it. He understands what's going to be demanded from Rick Barnes. I think you got to give a tip of the cap to the coaching staff for being transparent in what they wanted from him, what they were going to demand, and how you were going to be able to go about this process of getting to the next level and getting to the league. Then you have to also tip the cap to the players reaching out. You know, Zakai Ziegler, former players, Josiah, Dalton Connect, everybody taking part, Jemai Meshack especially reaching out, because I think one of the things that happens when you start talking transfer portal kids, transfer portal guys, you look at it and you say, man, who's playing my position? Meshack's been there 3 years, established, and has his role with the team. So it could be in question, am I going to be able to get that spot? Or are we going to be battling? Is time going to be split? If I do something wrong, will he get my minutes or whatever it may be? Meshack reached out immediately and told him that don't worry about that.
Wow. You
come on in here and do what you do. I'm doing what I'm going to do.
It's impressive.
And the foundation is already laid. So I think in this climate where money is thrown around with high numbers, to be able to go and say, you know, I want to go to Tennessee because of the core and the foundation that's built, and play with a legendary coach when you're looking at the rest of them who will have his 33rd player drafted this year, that's saying a lot.
So their opportunity for a starting five is Zakai Ziegler, Jemai Meshack, Chaz Lanier, Felix Okpara at the 5, and then either Igor Milicic or Darlin Stone-Dubar at the 4.
Yeah. It's serious.
You ain't even mentioned sophomore.
Yeah, you ain't missing J.P. Estrella. You ain't mention Cade Phillips.
Bishop,
you ain't missing
Boswell.
Cam Carr. It's, dog, this, hey, man. Between them and depending on what happens with Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Well, we got. I guess they got to decide tomorrow. Yeah, Mark Sears and the young fella Stevenson, both in working trying to get into the draft. If they come back, man, both of these. That's two top 10 programs without question. I'm talking about without batting an eye. Especially with Nate Oates, what he just did. But dog, that lineup.
Yeah,
it's pretty ridiculous.
You can go any kind of way with it. Like it's. God, D Stone, I think, will be the guy that we wanted Josiah to be consistently.
Yeah, I think he's going to surprise
some people. That makes sense. You know, that Josiah that exploded at Kentucky in that game, had some really good games in the tournament. Like, that guy right there that you can lean on. He is, I think, was a 6th-rated guy in the transfer portal when it came to efficiency. And then 6th-rated overall, with Chaz being number 2 behind Zach Edey. And then D Stone was like 6. So you got 2 of those guys. Milicic, how you say his name? Milicic. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a little nickname for him, but
just for Million.
Yeah, he feel me, something like that.
Just call him Igor.
Yeah, like, man, he can stretch the floor. So you got so many different ways to go. If you wanted to go big, you could put him at the 3. Like, we ain't even talking about Gainey.
Jordan Gainey.
Like,
right. I knew there was somebody I was forgetting.
How we forget Gainey?
It's some guys out there, man. It's some guys out there being led by guys Zakai, who I think embodies the program. You look at guys like Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams, and you thought that was the mold. Like, that's what you wanted to be. He shattered that.
Yeah.
he actually shattered that.
And overcoming a lot of adversity,
No question about it. Through life in general. So it's for him to stand tall through it and still be who he is, and also be able to pick up that phone and say, hey, man, come here, I'm going to try to get you the ball. Like, that's different. That's different. So it's going to be fun up on Rockets Up.
So the closing of this deal, we were sitting on eggshells, I feel like all Friday, trying to figure out what's going to happen. We interview Hubs didn't really know. I kind of knew my dog knew over here. I kind of knew Uncle Savage knew something, okay?
Yeah.
How do you close this with the numbers that we heard out there? Again, there's agents involved, there's family involved, there's egos involved too.
Yeah.
If it was 1-6 was the number that BYU threw out. In Kentucky, we saw was 7 figures. I don't know what Tennessee ended up with, but like apparently the stories were he took less to come to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Why?
I think when you look at it and you ask these coaches, BYU, you're going to have a new coach there.
He's never really been in the NIL payment situation.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then you got Kentucky, Mark Pope starting over with the new foundation. You got a lot of transfer guys coming in, trying to fight for time, trying to start a new culture at Kentucky. You haven't had a pro. You haven't been in the tournament. It's gonna be in question. Like, how are you gonna get it done? You know, because you're coming into a situation where you want to springboard to get into the league, where somebody just went. You look at Tennessee's situation, you got Rick Barnes, you got a Hall of Fame coach, a guy that's known for putting people in the NBA, known for being demanding, and can pick up the phone and is regarded as one of those guys when it comes to coaching. So his name will carry weight. They ask him, what else could you do for me? Well, just look at Dalton Connect. It's the exact situation. The exact same situation. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So in this situation, you're plugging and not having to carry the team on your shoulders.
Figuring out roles.
Yeah, none of that. You actually are walking into a spot that's ready-made and you're filling the spot.
The most complete.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's no question
You're like
about
that puzzle piece that like completes it. I look at that.
Yes, we're missing this piece. This spot was held for you. We're trying to plug you in right here. Everywhere else you would have went with the money being thrown and everything, it would have been, hey man, you got to carry this team. He can actually go to Tennessee and average 14 to 15, and this team go further than last year.
And still have the ability to be a draft pick for next year, too.
Absolutely.
He can do less and gain more.
No question.
I also think, look, we overlook sometimes, you guys, at this point of college athletics where it is all about money, or a lot of the focus is on money, where if you have an opportunity to go to a place in your home state and they're at their peak, or they're, like you could say they're in a peak position right now, coming off of last season. That's a prideful thing for me if I'm an athlete too. I mean, you got to go to it when it's hot, obviously, because you don't want to, pass up another opportunity. But I mean, I would take a lot of pride in that as a kid here in Ensworth, staying in state.
You think I spoke about that a couple of weeks ago about how family oriented he is, and he's the baby of his group.
Sure.
So it's to be able to go away, develop, stay 10 toes down, and come back transformed, and your family get to go and see this last year, and with everything at stake, it's priceless. It's priceless right now.
There's more layers to this. You don't really give up. So I said earlier, Middle Tennessee's had a big weekend. Chancellor Near committing, and also Devin Obey made ACC tournament player MVP. Yeah. You coach both.
Yeah, man. Got a good lineage going on right there, man.
You coach both. That's what he's not saying. He's coached both.
Now, you know what the weird thing is? When I text these guys, man, they write back, man, appreciate it, coach. And I'm sitting there like, hey, coach.
How much Ron do you know?
Who y'all referring to, man? You know what I mean? But shout out to them, man. You talk about a kid, man, that fought through it. Devin Obey, man, through injuries and everything. A dog. I used to tell his dad, man, please let him play. Yeah, please let him play basketball, man. Like, he wanted to play. Like, this man would be out there with a big, humongous knee brace on and jumping out of it. Coming back off of injuries like that, wanting to come and play, man, like that was dope. One of the hardest workers. And you knew it when you saw him in baseball. It was like this. He ain't got long. He ain't got long at all, man. So salute to him, man, for putting on, man.
And Chaz, that's big right there for you. I know you ain't going to say much, but I had to bring it up. You coach both of them young cats.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
3HL's Ron Slay with us in studio this morning. We'll talk a little bit of SEC baseball tournament coming up to see if Slay wants to preview his message to Vanderbilt fans that I'm sure he'll give today on 3HL when we come back.
It's Ramon Foster here for United Structural Systems. Here to tell you, man, this is the same company you've trusted for 30 years in your crawl space, and now they're offering mold treatment and giving you $500 off any mold growth solutions now through June 30th, okay? The most trusted and most experienced crawl space repair company in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. And right now, they're giving you $500 off their USS 3-step RTE process, where you can get rid of mold problems and take steps to prevent it from coming back. And you probably wonder, Ramon, what is RTE? Well, that's remove, treat, and then cap. Remove the active growth of mold, treat the area where the growth occurred, and also encapsulate the crawl space. USS doesn't just remove it because you'll never get rid of the mold in your home if you don't get to the root of the problem and take the steps to prevent it from returning. USS RT mold treatment does just that. Don't wait. As this humidity crank up, we dealt with rain. We know the sun is coming after it, and that creates I'm talking about a hotbed for mold to grow. Call now and get your free mold inspection and have your entire foundation inspected at no additional charge too. USS is here to help. For all your foundation and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com.
Wrapping up the Tuesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, even though it feels like a Monday.
It does.
Having Slay in studio makes it feel more like a Tuesday, though. This is a good thing.
Go to church,
Slay, Tennessee won the SEC tournament in baseball over the weekend.
Hey, man, they did what they were supposed to do. They are who we thought they were.
I don't even know if they were trying to win it, but they won it.
Listen, it's something when you playing with house money, man. It is. It's something else when you playing with house money. I do think, though, that, man, all them SEC teams getting into the tournament is dope. 11. Man, that's beyond, beyond. And it's only going to get better. Mm-hmm. That's the craziest part of it. Like, in all sports, it's only going to get better with adding Texas and Oklahoma. It's not like you adding one sport programs or something. You adding for real programs.
You got people PO'd.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
There are teams that are not happy with that. Charleston's coach coming out and he's like, how dare the SEC? He didn't say this word for word, but pretty much, saying we got snubbed.
Yeah.
But, it comes down to competition.
Big dog stomps.
Because Florida made it up.
The big dog stomps, man. Shout out to the Vols, man, for getting it done, man. I thought for a minute on Sunday, I text Savage and say, hey, man, we not about to do this, are we?
We are.
Man.
LSU's had comebacks this year, too.
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
what
them.
they do.
8-run comeback against South Carolina.
They get to it, man.
No, in that game
that was wild.
there.
Yeah.
Both the ones they played against Carolina were like bachelorette party on Broadway. Drunk.
Yep.
Just hammered.
What a game.
No, it's good, man. It's good. Baseball is... It's funny, man. Like, I never used to wait on this part of the season. Like, this used to lean right into the boring part of sports when you get ready to go into the summer. And now, baseball is alive on Rocky Top, man. It's like, okay, all right, I'm here. Let's get it. So
gives us more to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
It does. And just the whole outlook of it. We were joking yesterday. Savage came through, had a little cue in yesterday's session.
My boy threw down.
Just a little bit, man. Like,
I'm eating on it all week.
Really
I'm eating on it all week.
And with that being said, though, we were watching Olympic bench pressing trials yesterday. I was
for real?
Yeah, exactly.
Before the game came on, before Indy and Boston came on.
Dang.
Yeah, we at that point of the year. It's like it's nothing going on. That's why we don't need these sweeps in the NBA.
The Microsoft Excel Championships were on ESPN2, I think 2 weeks ago. No, I'm dead serious.
Wait,
I am totally dead serious.
It's rough on us. It's rough on us right now, y'all. So. I like in a sense a little bit of, I heard y'all speaking about it, stretching that NFL season, starting a little earlier and taking this part out. So I'm cool with that.
The Microsoft Excel World Championships, the FMWC, are in Vegas.
Can you believe that?
On ESPN2. I promise you, I am dead serious.
I know you're just reaching.
We are reaching.
But SEC baseball extends us out, though.
Yes.
It extends us out.
And they have dominated the College World Series in terms of SEC teams winning the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They have dominated that.
Yeah. It's some good things going on in the SEC.
And of course, it was the regionals right now that's about to go on for the Vols and all teams right now. I'm about to look it up and just how much are the tickets, because everybody who's anybody on the Friday night
probably not as bad as they used to be.
You don't think so for the regional?
Well, the stadium is double the size that it used to be. That's why in Knoxville.
Okay, that's fair. 2 tickets
That'd
right now.
Fun.
Lowest is $83.
That's not bad.
That's all right.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, lowest is $83 right there.
If there is a super regional, especially if it's against Wake Forest, I will be making that trip.
I was going to say, I feel like y'all got to make at least one game down there.
We'll have to figure that one out.
You know,
I did have somebody getting our DM this today, Savage.
Oh, straight up?
I had to pass it along.
Oh, my gosh. Right now, available standing room only.
Yeah.
On Ticketmaster.
Out in left field, probably.
Yeah, left field. Yep, that's exactly where it's at. Section C right now has a couple tickets left. And those, Section C, I'm guessing is, either way, it is $417 a ticket. It's behind home plate.
I think that's the club level, too. You get like a meal.
Oh, that's cool.
Better give them a meal.
Yeah.
They're giving out meals.
There'd be a 4-courser.
Two tickets available for $417 apiece.
That's where Earl and his wife sit right behind home plate. Blazer Man, as we call him. So he's the guy that every single Tennessee basketball game he's wearing an orange blazer, sitting right behind the bench.
Sure.
I know Slade probably knows this guy.
Earl.
I'm sure he probably knows him 100%. Who doesn't run Slade? No, okay. Big time Savage. I started off to 6 o'clock by saying choose a side. This Vandy and Tennessee rivalry is rich, is good, and is necessary.
You heard my rant on it.
Yes,
I love
100%, man.
We love it.
I love it.
It's like gravy. It's
Hey
thick.
man,
Put it on top.
it keeps
baby.
getting better and better. And I listen, the one of the best things about it is, I feel like we ain't even really supposed to be here. We stumbled into this.
We ain't even supposed
We
to
just
be
grabbed Vitello and it was like, all right, Vitello, take us there, and everybody started following. And
Yeah,
before you
John
look up,
Curry hired Tony Vitello.
you know, see what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, shout out to John
that type
Curry,
of
but
food or
woo,
something?
he wasn't one of the most beloved.
Now
but
at
he
Wake
did something
Forest,
great.
too.
Yes, he is. That show is.
Wake Forest out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
is he really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
that.
It sure is. Yeah, but it's fun, man. You got to embrace it. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's, and that's why I always say, even when football comes around, man, it's a rivalry, y'all. I know y'all ain't won, Vandy, but still, it's a rivalry, man. Regardless, because you slip up and let that one win happen, man. One is at least worth 10 in this battle. It is what it is. One's worth 10.
Unfortunately for Vanderbilt, Tennessee still leads the all-time series in baseball by over 20 games. So their one win they had did not make up half that game.
Nah, it means so much. It actually means so much
So
more.
here's
dog.
what the got any natties, bro?
No, it's coming. Stand by.
Stand by.
Stand by for news.
Yeah, hold on. Just
Ron
hold
Slay,
on.
weekdays 3 to 6 on 3HL. Today from the W Hotel at the On3 Elite Series. Looking
Be
forward
live
to it.
about
Bring your
that.
swim trunks. That
Yeah,
pool's cool.
that's what I heard. We by the pool too, I think.
Are you really?
Yeah,
That's a
said,
sweet
all right.
setup.
Interesting.
I hope they serving drinks.
Nice. Put your sunblock on.
You can teach Kirby how to swim while you're there.
You got burnt up, Kayla?
Yo, I'm all blotchy. This girl
Back
don't know how
at
to
it
use sunscreen
tomorrow
right.
morning. Titans will be back to the practice field tomorrow. We'll preview it for you. We'll talk with Rhett Bryan. Ramon Foster sent us up.
Y'all got to remember at all times, man. Go Vols! But
Yes.
your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.
And your
baby.
barbecue got to be good.